Hello and welcome to what might be the finale of the Lich's Dredge. Uh, we'll see, right? Feel like it. So I'm right there, Mr. Max Bovin in the bottom corner. I'm joined by Zonara, who's gonna be the GM, Nicholas, who's gonna play Rat Bastard, Calvin's gonna play Omelette, and Conway is gonna play Chicken Bone. And I'll leave it to you, Zonara.
All right, we ended on a cliffhanger, so I will allow the players to revisualize the scene. Last we left off, the party finished the rites of passage with chicken bones on killing the human child to show his true orc blood. After that, traveling through the woods to find the Hydra. The Hydra found them on the same spot where an orc child was left murdered in the grass. Through the forest, a Hydra head breaks, chasing a wolf, biting deep into it, right next to the party. The Hydra itself, a huge monstrosity, 15 feet in diameter, more or less, of the whole corpus, with 6 heads sticking out of its body. The one biting the wolf, looking wounded, hurt, but the wounds themselves like healing over as new scales start to grow and cover up the gashes of the last battle. Its eyes lingering on Corn Pop as blood splays out of the wolf. Red Bastard.
I'm clasping my sliced ear. I instantly start shivering and walking back.
Omelette.
I stagger backwards and call out to Chicken Bones. I say, Chicken Bones, use the spikes. And I start rummaging around in my component pouch.
Surprised the size of this thing, looking up, I take a few steps back and trip over a branch, and I begin going over my backpack.
Corn Pop.
I draw my too short sword and I yell, "Remember, we're trying to get that thing alive."
Hagran pulls out his longsword and steadies his hand, putting the second hand on the wrist of the first, shaking at the side of this massive beast. It's gigantic, Corn Pop! The Hydra itself lifting its head slowly as it swallows the wolf whole, a bulge in its throat moving down as the yapping of the wolf slowly disappears, entering the stomach. A second head busting through the branches to look down at what's happening, screeching at the party with a deafening yowl. Red Bastard.
I drop the dagger in my hand. I'm shaking my ears, touching both of my shoulders, and I dash backwards to hide behind a tree.
Make a sneak.
$18.
All right. Omelets.
I find the metal arrowhead that Chicken Bones gave me earlier, and I clutch it in one hand. I continue to back away, trying to keep some distance between the creature and myself. And I I chant in Druidic and hurl a fireball at the creature. It's 21.
21 strikes.
There's 7 fire.
The head with the wolf screeches out in pain as some of the neck gets scarred by the attack. The flames lingering at the small explosion.
He will
Start,
over. Chicken Bones with his backpack begins fudging with it. I grab a horrible curved hook and I toss it to the side, looking at Red Bastard. Grab it, Goblin! There is a rope attached to it. Tie it to the trees. And I begin going over my backpack once more.
Corn pop.
I start like circling, like around the beast, right? I'm trying to get to what his back. See like the head that was looking at me, and I'm trying to bring it over a tree. I'm running, making sure to have some trees between me and the head, right? So it cannot come drag at me. Getting into position.
The Hydra lumbers forward, third head pushing past the tree branches and spotting the party as the Hydra lumbers towards Corn Pop, allowing the party to be on its side, on the flank. Its head reaching down, 2 of them, to bite you, Corn Pop, the tree itself, aiding your defense armor by 2. The first striking you viciously. The second head
Just
the
get
second
me as
head,
well.
21.
Yeah. I'm trying to dodge around the tree, and then but I get caught by 2 head biting me.
For 20 piercing damage as the teeth rip into your body.
My body's torn to shred. I fall on the ground. I turn limp. Ragdoll in the mouth of the of the beast.
Body stuck on the branches, unable to pull Corn Pop into the air. Red Bastard.
The end of the rope thuds on the dirt beside me. As I go to reach it, I catch a glimpse of Karn. My eyes widen, and I hold my hand. I do not touch the rope, and I start giggling.
You're touching the rope. Can you repeat that? I'm sorry. Spaced out.
I keep glaring at Karn's body being mutilated, and I'm giggling to myself.
Omelette.
I see the Hydra, the 2 heads of the Hydra tearing Karn apart. And I launch another fireball at the beast while backing away. 18.
A strike.
Another 7.
The neck is
Finally-
well cinched at this point, but holding the head. Chicken bones.
I finally lift a vicious raw iron pipe pitten, and I grab my warhammer and I look at both of them and I start running. In the process of getting there, I see Kaharn. I stop for a moment, but continue running. Greenhorn, wake up! Drag Kaharn to omelet! And as I get there, before the two Hydra heads biting Kaharn, I lift a python, I leap on the neck of one of them, and I smash down, trying to crush this thing and to bind it to the ground with the python.
Make an attack.
I will use precise attack. Total of 16.
A strike.
Ten damage.
With that, you pin the head to the floor. Enough damage to destroy all blood, to destroy the artery, spilling out blood as the head starts going limp, letting go of Corn Pop, one of them at least, screeching out for help and going limp, stuck to the forest floor. Hagran is himself running towards Corn Pop's limp body, yelling out, "You're not getting him!" Pulling out holding aloft the longsword and going for the skull of the beast. Striking the monster with the magical blade of dwarven craftsmanship, dealing 12 damage. Corn Pop.
My body being jerked around by the neck and the head of the Hydra being bashed while holding me. Got some more blood leaking out from my wound. One step closer to death.
A voice you can hear penetrating the fog of death, whispering a language unknown to you. Escalan, esh ala sipiolar. Red bastard.
I snap out of my maniac trance. I pull out my short bow, pick up an arrow, but I aim at the Hagran's leg. Let go the arrow to see if I can incapacitate Hagran. I miss the arrow. The arrow goes off into the woods. I kick the ground.
Omelette.
I call out to my companions. I say, attack that head, free Master Karn, and launch another flame. For 3. Or it was a hit for 3.
A lingering flame most of it absorbed by the scales as they brittle and break off, get singed.
I reach into a side pouch. I grab 2 bitons, bite one of them, and the other one's on my hand. I leap off of the head that I was on top of, and I aim this as well as I can. And I swing down, trying to pin it to the ground.
A
Hit.
strike.
9 damage, piercing.
The head itself is weakened to the point that your strike kills off the second head. Creature screeching out in pain. Now all the other heads roaring in anger, getting ready to strike. 2 of them pinned in place. Corn pop. A blurry vision of a shadowy figure approaching you, yelling out, whispering towards you as the language starts shifting meaning and become filling with meaning to you specifically while being indistinguishable. Servant, you will find my phylactery. I will not allow failure.
No, at least with the head of the Hydra holding me, being down, I'm not no longer like in immediate danger, at least for now. The wounds are not aggravate. Lying down on the floor of the forest.
Hydra pulling your body out of the mouth and towards Omelette, which is a good 60-foot distance of the Hydra, getting about halfway. The Hydra itself, the remaining 4 heads strike down towards Chicken Bones, and one of them making an opportunity strike on Hadron.
AC 17, I have
Hadron.
no shield.
All right. Hadron dodges the first one. Two strikes, Chicken Bones. Dealing 20 damage. With 3 Hydra heads aiming for Chicken Bones, bouncing into your armor and digging past the plates into your flesh, pulling out with blood sprays gashing out, screeching, your full attention as you pinned down 2 heads. Red Bastard.
I jump out from where I'm hiding, running like a dog, circling to get closer to where Karn is, yelling in Goblin to Omelette, "We have to run!"
You reach Corn Pop in that round.
I quickly
Omelette.
assess.
Go ahead.
I quickly assess how healthy he looks.
He's in a bad state. He's covered in blood, laceration.
I bark before anything else to Hagrid. "I help, Master. Go help others." trying to drag you into behind the tree.
Omelette.
Seeing Rat Bastard, I reach into my pouch and grab the potion, and I say "Rat," and I chuck it over to him.
Smiling, I grab the potion.
With the arrowhead in my hand, I conjure a flame in the other hand, and I focus on the piton in this Hydra, and I hold the arrowhead in the flame, and I channel the heat into the metal of the piton.
Vision blurry, one enormous Hydra head biting my shoulder. I quickly grab the little leather latch and I let my shoulder pad go, the metal grinding down on the thing's teeth. As I slip off, I disengage. I take a few steps back, spit the python out of the way, try to lift my shield as I step 30 feet back, hoping that the pythons will hold the thing down.
I'm being shaken by Agron and Rat Bastard trying to grab on me, but fortunately it doesn't aggravate my wounds. Still there, being tossed around, unconscious, in a dreamy state.
The vision comes closer. The blur fog lifting as a skull appears, massive in size, about 10 times as big as you, and a crown atop its skull with three peaks colored golden and beset with amethyst gemstones. I do not care if you live or die. You have been chosen. I will make your body work either way. Hagran now dragged the body all the way to Omelette, letting him thump down and setting his blade a good distance between the party and the Hydra, stuck in place of where the bloodbath happened. The Hydra itself charging towards Chicken Bones, stretching the pythons. Let me see if they hold. Plink! Plink! Both of them yanked out of the ground. The effort taking his whole turn as it starts charging towards Chicken Bones, not reaching him quite yet. Red Bastard.
I yell to both Omelette and Iron. Go, Chicken Bone! I'll keep Master safe! Contain the beast! And I, holding onto his shoulder pads, start dragging him with much effort to behind the tree.
Out of sight of the Hydra, the white tree trunk blocks the line of sight into protection. Omelette.
I continue channeling the heat of this flame into the metal and into the pitons that are still embedded in the Hydra. for another 10 fire damage.
While the heads are dead with the pythons attached, the pain is still felt by the whole beast, screeching out in pain, setting the necks aflame by the heat radiation, steam coming off as blood boils.
Omelette! Call the animals of the wood! I take a few steps back. I still holding my shield to try to grab a python, bleeding profusely, vision blurry. I'll try to flank the beast. I dive into the woods and wait for the opportune moment.
Limb body behind the tree, having been dragged by rat bastard, not too delicately. My breath is getting fainter and fainter. I'm tired.
The
Slipping
vision
out.
disappears and fades away, leaving you alone, finally. Red bastard, the state of con pop looks dire. Breath shallow.
Breathing heavy, I pull up his eyelids. Karn! See if there's any reaction.
The eyes are rolled back. Breathing is faint.
From behind my loincloth, I pull this bone dagger and I say, good riddance. Slit Karn's throat. Open the potion, drop on the floor, and drop the empty bottle near his hand.
Omelette.
I've got my eyes locked on the pitons as I continue to channel this heat into the metal, muttering under my breath and druidic for another 11.
No animals of...
The-
Sorry.
The creature looks quite wounded at this point. The other heads screeching out in pain, infuriated, enraged. It will not stand. Chicken bones.
No animals of the woods coming. Our leader wounded. In the woods, I start thinking quickly. I look to the back, almost thinking about there I should run away. I catch my breath.
Hagran. I see. Hagran yells out in Orcish and says, "Do not falter. We have to protect Corn Pop. Slay the beast now. Glory will be ours." Attempting to follow the footsteps of his leader, charging the beast and catching him halfway as Chicken Bones runs the opposite direction, striking the beast. The attack missing as a Hydra head rears past his wing, now having the full attention of the beast. All four heads descend upon the greenhorn. All that can be seen is the body lifted up in the air as he screeches out in pain. Crunch of bone and muscle sinew squelching as he is ripped apart in 3 pieces. Red bastard.
With the hilt of my dagger, I pull open Karn's jaw. It's like bashing on his tusk, chip it off. Wonderful. Put it in my pouch, and I run out of the hideout to see the Hydra party situation.
The Hydra itself having ripped apart Hagrid into 3 pieces. The chunks floating in the air as the Hydra starts swallowing him.
I cannot contain myself. And I jump back inside the woods, yelling in Orcish. Run! Retreat! Retreat!
Omelette.
I turn my head slightly at the sound of Rat's voice, but I keep my eyes locked on the pitons. Heating this arrowhead up. It's red hot in my hand, but the heat of it's going into the pitons. For 15.
Pain is felt by the whole waist. It is wounded, it is hurt, and it wants blood. As the heads look around confused at the pain, spotting the metal rods inlaid the 2 dead heads, chicken bones.
Surprised, eyes wide, shaking, having seen their leader bitten down. Now the greenhorn cut to pieces. I steel my resolve. And I charge in, coming towards the beast's side. I swing at its leg as I'm running through, dashing under it. I will use tripping attack. You must give a dex save or trip. Seven damage.
It holds steady, but a quadrupedal creature does not fall under one single swing. Screeching out. Attention on chicken bones. The heads look at each other. 2 of them sink down and bite off the 2 dead necks, crunching and severing the heads, useless, laying on the floor, heat metal no longer affecting them. The 2 remaining heads of the 4 sinking towards chicken bones.
Armor class 19. I have a shield now.
Both attacks blocked.
I desperately hold on, the teeth of the Hydra coming over the shield, almost reaching my hand. I let the shield go.
Red bastard.
Still running on all fours. Now right behind Omelette. I yell once again, "Chicken bones! Run south! Everybody flee!" And I run past into the woods back to the encampment.
The Hydra, Hagrid, Corn Pop, Omelette, Chicken Bones disappear from view as you rush past the underbrushes and the smaller trees, obscuring your location. Omelette.
The arrowhead suddenly feels hot as the connection to the pitons is severed, and I drop it on the ground. I glance over and see rats scurrying off in the distance, and I say, it's too strong to subdue. We'll have to kill it. And I make another, with the fireball that I had in my hand, I chuck it at the creature that's snapping its teeth at Conway, at Chicken Bones. It's a crit for 4.
My shield gone. I look to my hand, my heart beating as fast as it ever has. My body goes into survival mode, and I attack twice, aiming for 2 of the heads so that I can run away. One hit.
Okay.
10.
10 damage.
Uncaring for leaving an opening, I run away as far as I can.
Gashed, mauled, burning, but alive, enraged. Swallowing Hagran. Chunks of his body disappearing into the gullet. The sword from his hand, sinking blade first into the ground, marking his future grave. As the Hydra charges after Chicken Bones. Faster, striking down with 4 heads, snatching for you. The first is dodged, but the second one catches. Let me double check. A 15. 3 dodges, so 1 hits you. For 10 damage. Slamming
up.
into the ground directly behind you. Each one getting closer, snapping at your heel. The last one scraping into your back before you escape.
I punch down at the head biting at me.
Red bastard. Sounds of fighting, screeching of the Hydra. It sounds angry.
I'm running as fast as I can, almost jumping from tree trunk to tree side, using the tree trunks to propel me forward.
The forest looks almost serene at this part of the woods.
I start slowing down my pace. I'm still running towards the direction of the Karn's tent.
Omelette.
I reach into my component pouch and I have a handful of thorns that I ripped off the blight, and squeezing them tightly in my hand, I conjure spikes in an area around the Hydra as I chant in Druidic.
Do I need to roll something?
Spike growth. Only if you continue moving will it make a difference.
Got it. Chicken bones.
With the pommel of the warhammer, beat the thing in the eye. Let's go, and I start running. This time, careful, waving my warhammer backwards, trying to dissuade it from biting me as I disengage and run away. I dash under a large rock and keep running, hoping it will slow it down.
The Hydra will charge through the thorns after chicken bones. What check is it? Dexterity?
I'm going to roll the damage. It's a 20-foot radius, and it's 2d4 per 5 feet.
All right, it will charge through all four, so 8d4. Go ahead. It is is it half damage if I succeed? Is that right?
There's no save for it.
Got it. Full damage then. The Hydra getting shredded, legs bleeding strongly as it charges after chicken bones. It hesitates, one of the heads screeching in pain, looking at the others, but they want blood. They snap at each other, two of them bickering at what to do, but two more heads jumping over the large boulder. The long heads reaching down towards chicken bones, striking. 21-17. One of them hits. Another 10 damage.
Bitten down, chicken bones under the boulder, shaking, goes limp. But then, in his eyes, his delirious eyes, moving quickly, he sees an image of the humans he had seen and fought, and the pain they had. And he catches his breath again, pushes the Hydra off, and is still up.
The echo of a voice of a chieftain. Do not falter! We will push these barbarians off! Barking as people bark in the background. Red bastard. Alone in a forest, surrounded by woods, fallen over tree trunks, mushrooms, untouched by orc or man.
I stop running and lean my back towards on a tree. My chest rising and lowering fast. And I sit down to pick up my breath. I pull out the Karn's tooth tusk. I'm fondling it.
Omelette.
I call out, glancing around, call out for Master Karn and call out to Chicken Bones. As the Hydra's bearing down on him, I throw another flickering flame.
A weak, haggard shout comes out from under the rock. Keep it in place, Omelette. This ferocity dies here with me.
11, I think, misses.
Yes. The scale's too tough at the corpus. The flame bouncing off. No impact.
Having dashed under a rock, the heads coming from all sides, I look around, the light of the sun not even getting to me. I'm desperate, but I'm thinking of the humans and the things that this creature will keep killing. We couldn't tame you, but I'll end you. I look behind me to the rock to see if there is a way that I can make it fall down on top of me and the heads biting at me.
The gap the massive rock creates with its sheer size could be crawled into, allowing only one head to reach instead of all four. No alternative route out.
Thor, god of humans, give me strength. I begin slowly crawling my way, only Warhammer on my hand, swinging it in front of me. I take the dodge action under the rock.
The head trying to reach you, squeezing itself into under the rock, turning up soil and insects everywhere as it snatches for your arm. Arrgh! Disadvantage. Evading the attack.
It comes, and there was just enough space that I can bash its head off, and it can't keep crawling closer.
One of the other heads are looking around, spotting Omelette, throwing fireballs, screeching out, nudging the others. 3 heads turn towards you as the corpus starts turning, pulling away from the rock. Red bastard.
Now, with my breath normalized, I stand up and I start walking calmly back to the Karn's camp. Every now and then, I look around, make sure if there's anything, a creature, a person behind me, and I press on, walking calmly.
Woodland creatures can be heard, a few birds chirping, undisturbed by the Hydra that is somebody else's problem.
I mutter to myself, hope Omelette gets to me.
Omelette.
Seeing the creature turn towards me, I start backing away, away from Chicken Bones, in a direction away from Chicken Bones and away from Master Karn. I chant again in Druidic as I fling another fire. For 6.
6.
I'm sorry. It's hard for me to see what. It was a crit, and it's 6.
Got it. Yes, it looks like it rolled damage twice, so that's okay. The Hydra, grievously wounded at this point, singe marks everywhere, exhausted, tired. Pure evil remains. It wants to face, lumbering towards you.
Captain!
Running and catching up with you, taking all of its efforts to catch up, readying to strike. Red bastard.
I can see the Karn standing in the distance. I roll my shoulders when I after walking a while I get inside. I see the first Karn used as a bedding. Flip it. I start digging near where he'd lay his head.
Chicken Bones, I skipped your turn. Go ahead, take it now.
The head withdrawing. I breathe, and strength waning, having used all that I had, I let go of the hammer, and I begin getting in fetal position in the hole. Chew wounded, bleeding. I lay there, trying to catch my breath.
Omelette. The creature has caught up with you. Its head's ready to strike at any false movement.
I try to disengage from the creature and try to get some distance between it and myself, winding my way around a tree.
It goes to strike. Each movement anticipated. You escape its grasp. Trees between the both of you. Chicken Bones. The lumbering gets wanes as it hunts down a different prey. Boom, 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 boom. Getting lower and lower.
Catching myself weak in the state, I snap out of it, angry with myself. I grab the hammer and I crawl out of the hole, using this opportunity, thinking of all those that died. I just dart off in a random direction, my backpack hanging limply as I limp.
The Hydra is back, turned towards you, gaining distance from 60 feet to 90 feet. Red bastard.
After a while, digging the dirt below the bedding, there is a little cloth, a rolled cloth. My eyes glint a bit. Yes, the secret stash. And I open it.
The stash. Pulling out silver coin, gold, meat rations, tusks, few elf ears.
Good. I tie a knot. And I go outside and I sit by the charcoals of the last campfire. And I'm kicking my leg up and down in anxiety. Get down.
The Hydra trying to find a ways through the trees, attempting to knock them over to reach you, Omelette. The trees bend and then snap, charging over them. All four heads descend upon you, screeching in hunger, turning predator to prey. One, two, three strikes, digging into your flesh. 35 damage.
I fall. I go limp in the creature's mouths.
You may make a death saving throw as it's your turn now. That is a roll a d20.
It's a failure.
All right. Chicken bones.
Down to my frayed body damage. I see muscles moving, blood dripping down, the blood leaving a trail. Knowing the animals of the woods can follow these trails, I go towards the sound of rushing water, and I begin walking alongside a small stream.
Trickling pools, collecting to a small stream, meandering through the woods, nourishing the forest. Deep enough, ankle deep at best. The Hydra itself pulling Omelette into 2 pieces, killing him and devouring the body. Red bastard.
I'm holding Colin's tusk, and I'm scribbling on the dirt beside me, muttering to myself, "Hey, Omelette needs to be alive. Chicken Bone needs to be alive. They don't go back alone." And I wait. I'll wait for half an hour, see if anyone returns.
A distant screech of the Hydra can be heard echoing all the way here.
My ears perk up instantly. I'm going into alert mode.
Turn towards the screech, panicking. I keep walking down the stream, going as fast as I can, but still rather slow. At this point, delirious. Oh, Mr. Karn, the child. I just keep walking. I'm sorry.
The thumps start growing louder. The Hydra looking for you. Searching the forest. Thumping. Pushing over trees. Make a stealth roll, Chicken Bones.
$12. 11.
A draw. The Hydra moving, following the blood trail, reaching the stream, screeching loudly, but not spotting the half-orc behind a tree stump. The heads coming dangerously close, about 10 feet, looking in the wrong direction, as the others bark at it, screeching back and forth, and it turns the course, going the opposite way.
Clutching my religious symbol, I steady even my breath as I stay still as a stone.
The Hydra lumbers off on the way into the woods. Red bastard.
I'm still in alert mode after hearing the beast, but not really noticing it getting close. I shake my head. Okay, Wait just 10 more minutes. But I get up and I grab a stick and I tie the stash on the end of the stick. Just 10 minutes. I'm looking at the sun.
Chicken Bones, consider yourself out of combat.
Stay still for a long time, waiting until the thumping sounds of the enormous beast get further and further and further away. Then I wait a little bit longer. With it done, I get out of my hiding place, and at this point, adrenaline crashes down and I'm weak. I have to push myself even harder, limping. I put my back against a tree, rip what's left of my clothes, and pull out my armor. Bits of metal bitten down and crushed into my flesh. I have to pull them out of my flesh. I take my armor off, take my clothes, and try to bandage myself as well as I can.
A painful process. Red bastard. The noise of the Hydra dissipates, the thumping not to be heard at your distance. The forest returning to normal or normalcy.
I'm still waiting. I'm scratching my sliced ear. And still following the tusk. Just a little more.
Chicken Bones.
A new lease on myself. I suddenly get up. I need to leave the Hydra's territory. I'm talking to myself, still slightly delirious. I begin circling, looking for something, anything, anyone. My ears perked up. I try to do so stealthily. 12.
Most notably, blood smear across the battlefield, pulling a corpse into an underbrush, as well as a long sword sticking out on the open ground, blade first into the wet dirt, the weapon of Hagrid.
I look at the site of battle where my master fell and where our companion met his end. I look at the blade. You were too ferocious. You fought like an orc. Died like one. I pull the sword out and I stash it on my belt. Then I, not having enough time to bury what's left of him, I kneel down, pass my hand on the dirt, making a tiny little hole. I grab a tooth of his that got pulled out in the middle of the fight. I bury it, and I keep moving. That is where Kaharn... I look towards where Kaharn was stricken down, see the trail of blood, and follow it.
His body in the underbrush, dead, laying on his back, noticeably one tooth missing, and a gash across his neck with blood oozing out.
My eyes widen. Master Kaharn. I fall to my knees and I begin seeing if there is any chance, any hope. I know that there isn't, but I lose my temper. I grab one of his swords, stash it. Then I grab his wineskin and I let go what's left of it in his mouth. One last drink. I drop it. You have taught me well. You have taught me strength. I get up and leave.
Roll a survival check to find your way back to camp.
fail. Untrained.
Red bastard. 30 minutes pass. No sign of anyone approaching the camp. No battle to be heard.
I pick up the stick with a makeshift sack at the end, put on my shoulder. I stand up straight, straighter than I ever was. Fully erect posture. I look back towards the Ark camp. Cannot go back. I look down the direction, the opposite direction. I adjust the hacky sack, and I start walking. Just walking to the woods.
I
Make a
believe I
survival check as well. Okay. You do not spot any blood trails or the signs of battle. Chicken bones.
I see the same split tree for the second time. Down to my lame leg. Must be walking in circles due to the lame leg. I look to the side of a mountain where the trees begin to thin. I walk towards it, grabbing whatever sticks I can. On the side of a cliff, I find a small hole that I can hide myself in. I throw the sticks on it, make a fire. As I get ready to rest,
The fire resists the attempt at first, damp and wet from the rain of yesterday. And before it catches on, pitiful and tiny.
stirred. I keep flicking my flint and steel. Breathe slowly. I grab one of the larger sticks, longer. I grab one of the pythons that I had, and I put it at the end of the stick, tie a rope around it, make a makeshift spear. Then I fix it to the entrance in case any animal of the night wants to climb their way into my little hole and is not dissuaded by the fire. Having used my clothes to bandage myself, I grab the little fur, what's left of it, torn in half. I wrap it around myself as well as I can, and I timidly eat at a piece of bread, a hardtack.
The afternoon wanes as the evening starts to settle in. Red bastard.
It's a good place in the woods. I drop down the stash and start making a fire and biting on some jerky from the provisions I brought with me. I pull down my cowl, a bald head. I sigh.
Even during noon, weak, I drift off to sleep. Hibernate more like, as I sleep for way too long, resting due to my wounds.
Night comes quick for chicken bones. Red bastard.
With the provisions, I managed to easily make a small campfire. I'm just sitting by the fire, warming myself. There's a little bit of snot running from my nose. I wipe it with my forearm. Just have to find another group.
The night goes deeper as the moon rises across the sky, illuminating parts of the forest. Campfires, solitude, silent. Some animals coming closer just out of curiosity of what this bright light is. None of them daring to approach the goblin, however.
I wake up during night, having slept too long. Awakened from a long slumber. This life, strange. I had gotten accustomed to the dream more. I get up. The fire has almost gone out, but there are a few embers. I grab these few embers as if they were precious gold on my hand. I bring them outside and gather kindling to start a new fire. Then I toss larger and larger pieces of wood at it, making an enormous bonfire, trying to draw attention to myself, using the dead of night to create an enormous fire on the side of the mountain. Anyone in the valley would be able to see it.
Red bastard. Trail of smoke spotted in the sky. Illuminated by the full moon.
Work up. This is my head. Could it be? I get the end of the stick, put on my shoulder, and I walk into the darkness. My eyes adjusting to the dark. Just have a peek.
Creatures of the night disperse as you move. None of them wish to mess with you. They're too small. An owl hooting in the distance. Bats to be seen in the sky, hunting small insects, chirping with their echolocation. Getting closer, sputtering fire, bonfire, getting thrown in with whole branches of trees. A humanoid figure standing there.
Having an
tending
axe,
to it.
I grab the large branch of a tree and break it up with a warhammer. Then put it on my side and begin carrying it up the side of the mountain.
He does not spot you.
I drop down the set and I drop on all fours and start crawling in closely, just to have a better view, see what he's doing. After seeing him dragging the log, I speak louder. Chicken bones, is that you?
I drop the branch and I look. It worked. Rat, where's Omelette?
I stand up and I start walking, approaching you with a demeanor that I've never shown to any orc before, walking up straight. Presumably dead, like Karn and Hagrid. You somehow survived.
I look away. That I have. There's a slight sadness to my tone. We have to return. There was nothing for us out here. Not anymore.
Don't be stupid. We won't be accepted back.
I think. You're right.
You think you killed Karn? That's what they always think.
I know who killed Kaharn.
Yeah, almost killed you and as well.
Oh, is that so? Why is that?
Because you and Omelette are stupid. You should have become new leader. With Omelette by your side, you ruin everything.
The fire's illuminating only one side of both of you, contrasting the light with the darkness. The bonfire being bright in the background.
If I carry you back by the ears, they will accept me. I can drag Kaharn's body back too. Nobody can lie when they see it. But I look down. But I will never catch you out there in the woods.
Yeah. I one motion. I throw a dagger at Chicken Bone's throat.
Roll an attack.
I use me being smaller, fueled by fear. I do 6 damage.
Not enough time to grab a shield. I just raise my hands, and it goes through the palm of my hand and digs just slightly into the throat, saving my life. You bastard! I pulled the dagger out, and I just stashed the dagger on me. Listen! I know I'm never going to catch you. And if I get back in that hole, you're never going to kill me. There's nothing left back for us there. There's no reason to fight. What we're going to do is we're going to get out of this valley. We're going to find the humans.
So you can sell me to them? You owe me a skull. I point a bony finger at you.
You have gained yourself 3 Neo skulls from our dead compatriots. Take theirs. If you wish not to come with me, then you can rot in these woods. If you could return, you would have already done so. What life is there for a goblin alone, not accepted by his kind or any other kind? I'm not doing this out of necessity for me. I'm doing this out of pity for you.
I turn my back. You have both orc stupidity and human stupidity. And I lumber off, grabbing my hacksack into the woods, all the way into the darkness, not to be seen again.
Look up to the full moon. I stop and think, pondering. I look back to whereabouts Kaharn's body would be, thinking whether I should go retrieve it, drag it back. I shake my head. I've already paid my price. Chicken Bones died as an orc this day. I grab whatever I can and walk off in the dead of night, unable to fall back to sleep. Wandering somewhere, not even I know.
And we are going to end today's session on that note. Thank you guys for watching the Lich's Dregs 7-session mini campaign.
That was a funny fucking first round for me.
He's got critted in the first round, man. Wow. That changed everything.
I loved it. So fucking funny. I've been in that game for what, like 5 minutes?
Yeah, you had one word.
Bam. What?
You had one word in. But, all right, guys, I'm out. See you guys next week.
Yeah. But I loved it. It was very funny for me, to be honest. Like, just being like fucking being the guy, oh, I'm gonna start circling the beast. Bam, you get it twice. Ah. I guess that's
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Yeah.
It is what it is, man. That's what the dice decided today.
Yeah. And it
You
makes a nice
play with
conclusion.
a yeah.
We're talking about that off air, right? Like, oh, how do we conclude a session, right? Well, I guess we got a conclusion there.
Yeah.
It felt good for like everybody. At least like I'm saying from me as a character and like as a player, and for as a spectator, seeing your characters, right? Like everybody adds some kind of like closure in a sense, right? How do you feel, guys?
That was great. I really liked that. Crazy session. I don't know how I survived that. I think I used every single trick left in the book. I was hoping that there would be like a branch holding up like the rock that I was under, and I would hit it, and it would like crush down my character and the Hydra's heads. But I like the little like hidey hole. Like I crawled into the hole, like just swung my warhammer at the only entrance. That was really cool.
Interesting. It's interesting that you survive. Now, like we can imagine some other arc for your character of what's gonna happen with you. You're gonna try to find the humans and try to be accepted with them, right? There's like stuff to ponder upon. Same thing with Red Bastard, right? It feel like he got his conclusion, but it's also like an open-ended conclusion, right? There's more stuff that could be explored with this character if we want to, but it's also a good spot to end, no?
Yeah.
How do you feel?
I also love how it was bittersweet for Rat Bastard. He got all he wanted. He became free. He killed his orc compatriot, and now he's just left alone in the world, right? Like he got all he wanted, but it made his life worse for it.
Which is often the case.
Yeah. So his goals were, I'm gonna make sure that Hagern is killed, Karen is killed. Then with both Oma and Chicken Bones, I can safely go back and resume living. Because if Chicken Bones comes back, we can at least prove that like he fought the beast, so like we can resume living on. But then Oma died, and so that is out of all plans ruined.
Yeah.
I like that all that is left of the battlefield, it's blood, it's chaos. You have one dead body because two of them just got swallowed whole in different bits. But we do have two Hydra heads pinted like to the floor, stuck in place.
So we cannot find a Hydra at level 3, even if there's like 5 of us.
I feel like if I had contributed, you guys maybe could have.
Okay, yes, as the 5 of us, it's more like 4 of us. Because yes, somebody ran away right away. Fucking goblin, man.
I mean,
So I don't bring a
had it
goblin
coming
to
in
Hydra.
session 1. Yeah.
Don't bring a goblin
when I did
to a Hydra party. That is correct.
Worst mistake of my life. Yeah. A video by Karen. Don't bring goblins to your hunt party.
Yeah.
Yeah. About the stash thing, I was thinking like, well, I think it's very in character for Red Bastard to have hidden like something along the time they're being there. But like, I didn't want to go ahead and say what it was. So you know what? I'm gonna let Zolar decide what's in the stash.
Oh yeah.
And you gave me way more than I would have. I would have made like 2 gold coins and maybe like jerky, but you gave me a bunch. But okay, you decide.
I was a bit caught off guard of like I'm digging up something and I'm like, okay, what's happening here? And then you're waiting for me. Oh, I have to say what it is. I see.
Yeah.
But in my
I don't
head,
want to just manifest those 2 swords.
I like how that went. Actually, I like how that went because I've totally got what Nicholas was doing. He's 40ing a stash, but he doesn't want to push too far, so he's giving the opportunity for the GM to define what. I drank more than I thought. To define what.
Exactly, that's important. Like when I wanted to bring the rock down, I put it on Zolar's hand. I say, okay, I'll look back to see if there's some way I can crush this rock down, right? And in the end, what he created with my open-ended question was pretty interesting too, like little hidey hole. That was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to imagine the scene, and I could not see of like, oh yeah, I will totally knock over a rock in the woods with a tree underneath it. Like that made no sense in my head. So what I imagined
It's
was
video gaming.
this large body. It's not a problem for the Hydra, but you can totally crawl into underneath it, like knock some dirt away.
How about you, Galvin? How do you feel about that? Your character got ripped in half by an Hydra.
You know, I right before I died, I was thinking to myself, should I disengage or should I dodge? And I feel like if I just dodged, I might have survived at least one more turn. But I was also thinking about how would I escape? How would I escape? And I was thinking about like maybe turning into a little mouse or something and like crawling into a hole in the ground. But
Yeah.
he got me too quickly. I didn't have a chance.
But also, would Amlet have tried to escape?
Yeah, I mean,
He
I
seemed
don't
pretty
think that-
loyal to Karn, right?
well, I would put it this way. If I survived and any of you guys were dead, I think Omelet would have probably eaten you. Just because,
Yes.
you know, at that point,
He died
you're
the
no
way he
longer
lived.
you're no longer Karn, you're no longer rat, you're no longer chicken bones. You are just a collection
Your
of meat.
Your protein. Waste not,
You know,
whatnot.
if you think about it, every other humanoid we've killed has just been
Well, also like
immediately
you,
put on a skewer and roasted. You know,
Yeah. and you're a lizard, right? And you're like, oh, lizard can like cut off their tail when they're getting cut.
yeah.
They usually come back around to eat their tail.
Oh, that's funny.
That's true. Like that's what lizards do. When those lizards that cut off their tail when they're cut, right, by the tail, they're often gonna come back around to see if the tail is still there, and if it is, they're gonna eat it. Because they need the energy to regrow the tail.
Yeah.
It's also like linked to what we were talking about the Hydra earlier, right? The Hydra kind of getting their head cut and regrowing them. That might be something they would do.
By the way, how close was that Hydra to dying?
Oh,
I can tell you if you guys want.
yeah, why
The
not?
Hydra.
Behind the show.
Because I feel like I was putting in some work.
Oh yeah. It starts with 172 hit points. And you got it down to 25.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it is a lot, but I don't think we would have killed.
Yeah,
I totaled up my
Gamemaster would
damage.
have fought instead of fighting us.
I totaled up my damage and it was 90. So if
Really?
Looks
maybe
about
we
right.
healed up, if we healed up Karn a little bit better before this fight, or if Rat stuck around, I think we would have won.
If there
Oh,
was a healing potion that could be used in this fight,
Yes,
that wasn't poisoned.
If I would have been
Hold on,
fully
brother.
healed at the start of the fight, it
I
would
am.
have changed the thing.
But you don't have
I
any
would-
clothes
There's
on, you
some noise.
goofball.
I'm gonna
Can we
mute
mute
you.
you?
Can you get-
Ykrep.
Yeah.
If you turn off the camera, we can still hear you. Like what is it? Like if I would have been like fully healed at the start of the fight, it would have made a difference in this third round. I would still be down.
Yeah.
So there's that, right? I'm a bit disappointed that we didn't that nobody got to use the healing potion that was poison.
Yeah, well, why'd you slit his throat if the healing potion was poison?
No, because Zonalar did not make it do what I wished it to do. He just made it have the healing effect. So
Yeah. But
Well,
if
we talked about this, so I changed what it's going to do based on what you said. Like with the
I didn't
poison,
remember.
you use all of the poison. You don't know what the poison does. So I changed it that the healing potion is not going to heal a little bit. It's actually going to do 46 damage. Because the poison you got was wyvern poison. Incredibly potent.
Yeah. But to be honest, like if somebody would have said, I poured a healing potion into his mouth, I would have said I start choking and die, right? And blood spit off my lips, right? I would have said that
I
anyway
was
because
I was a bit
it was more
upset that
interesting.
Karn was not conscious because I want there to be like a final like confrontation, like directly talking to Karn before killing him.
Yep.
Did not happen, so
letting
I
him
think
know.
that made Rat a bit bitter.
I was
Don't-
worried that
Yes.
Sonalar at some point that you would do like the Deus Ex Machina, right?
Yeah, I was as well.
Yes. And I was
Yeah,
like,
with the Lich guy
man,
showing up, that was weird.
yeah, like it was interesting because we get a glimpse of the Lich guy, but also like, fuck, it's raining hard. Sorry,
Mhm.
just let me die, right? Just like it's I fucking died in the first round. That's cool. That's funny.
It's cool, yeah. We found him. We
Great.
found John Lich, right?
Yeah,
Well,
just like it
You
tells
love
something
me,
about
Lich,
the fucking
you know.
Karn, right? Being like this kind of like cocky, overconfident kind of asshole, right? Just go like, yeah, let's go fucking capture this Lich and start running and oh, there you go.
Exactly right. It's exactly why you shouldn't do a Deus Ex Machina, because the story you end up. A lot of people say, "Oh, it's a collaborative storytelling game," but they don't let it be. Right?
No,
It's a
exactly.
collaborative storytelling game only in the sense that the players must win and the story must keep going. Because the story that we generated here, like true, like simulation of this, was really interesting, right? I can imagine like in a AAA game, like an NPC telling the story of like what Chicken Bones went through, right? And also, like Kaharn said, it says not only sorry, like Mr. Max said, not only does it tell you something about Kaharn, but it feels organic. Well, because it is, right? Like it's pretty common, like in medieval fights, for the king to just rush in and die. Like it happened in when the Normans invaded England. The Saxon king just rushed in, got an arrow in the eye, and died. And that was that. Like at the very start of the fight.
He got
So
Campaign
that's pretty
over.
common.
King
Yeah.
is dead.
A 20 can mess you up, man.
Exactly. And this is cool. Like when this type of thing occurs, it really shows that we're dealing with a real situation where the leader can just rush in, die in the first few seconds, and the rest needs to pick up the pieces, right? And I love the little
Yep.
like back and forth Chicken Bones and Rat Bastard had at the end. It was very like steeped in their characters.
That was like, man, bullcrap. That crit not killing you. Like, what is that?
Well,
You're
I
like
took a short
messed
rest. I took a short rest to
Okay.
sleep, so I had like
Yeah.
a lot of HP.
Okay. Yeah, but you get to live with a scar on your hand.
That's cool. Yeah.
And I feel like I do feel the need of like saying the reasons why I do the things I do, just because I kind of want to know like what other people think about it. But it's also like a bit of insecurity on my part, like, oh, am I good enough game master? I need the validation of the players to decide that if I'm good enough. If the players say, nah, this was trash, then I'm gonna feel like, oh no, I ruined everything. But to the point of the Lich showing up was very much that you guys are worshipping him, the heap, right? And he heard, and I wanted to play that out that, oh yeah, he's around. And he heard who is actually a follower of him. So he will use you, dead or alive. But I did not want to skip time, and I did not want to drag out the session to the point of Korn like coming back undead, like having lost his free will, and role playing that out. That could have been the point of ending it on, and I've considered it, but it felt like this could, this is like an after credit scene that might have happened.
Yeah,
But yeah.
it's interesting for seeing stuff in the future, right? If we were to ever come back to this world or whatever.
Mhm.
But it's also like you don't want to rob somebody from his debt, right? And that is
Yes.
a meaningful thing.
Yes.
But I think you did it right, having this vision, and then just say like, and it's fading away, right? Well, at some point I'm fading those debt save and stuff like that. it would have feel like if you would like bump me back up, it would have feel contrived,
Yes.
and then I would have.
I
like,
wanted
this,
to give it like a day. Like if you actually stood like lay there for a day or something,
Yeah.
then you would be resurrected as an undead body.
zombie corn pop.
Yeah,
Revenant.
Yeah.
Revenant, literally.
Yeah.
The Death Knights.
I think that last moment with Chicken Bones, like paying his respects to Karn, was interesting too, because I felt like my character would have no ill will towards Karn.
It's interesting.
Like, yeah,
Yeah, like an older brother that hazes you, but still also kind of looks out for you. So you have like
And
a
ultimately dies. Like,
From-
oh, the brother! No!
From this mini campaign, guys, I gotta say, I found like all the characters involved were very interesting, right? Like Omelette for his like lizard kind of thing and his devotion and his like loyalty and it's like missing the cues when like Red Bastard tried to corrupt him and convince him, right?
Yeah.
Very interesting. And Red Bastard being like this goblin that can
no. I
help
turned the camera
out.
off.
Turn the mic off too.
The horrible wizard is an adorable dad.
This is what
Red
happens
Bastard
when we
can
play on
help
Friday.
himself from Red Bastard can help himself from like being this like treacherous goblin, right? Even though like come on, you're not being abused, you're not being treated that badly. God was fairly nice to you. Chicken Bone with this like conflict between like like you didn't feel like I called you a traitor in the chat earlier, but it didn't feel like you didn't feel like you were like more on the human side. It felt like you're trying to reconciliate both and had trouble doing that. It felt like a personal
Yeah.
like conflict that you were dealing with, right? It felt like the character had something going on inside, like this conflict with itself, right? With the human heart, like the half-orc heart, I'd fight with himself. And I find like all those character was interesting for those reasons, right?
Oh, it's great that you saw that because that is exactly like it. Like 5e tells you to write like ideals and flaws and stuff.
Mhm.
The thing I wanted the most was to reconciliate. It was like
Oh, yeah.
redeem orcish. I didn't want to let my orc die and become a human. I wanted to redeem the orc side, right? Because orcs have honor too, right?
Yeah,
Probably.
in a way, yes.
Maybe.
Goblins don't.
Goblins don't, yeah.
We could use the word honor.
Goblin is just they're just a cursed race, There's nothing redeemable about goblins. But orcs, they have something going for them.
Yeah.
The marginalization.
I was
of goblins.
oppressed every day.
I really like that as Corn Pop is dying, you were like, fuck this, I'm slitting his throat. I can't leave this up to chance or anything. I have to make sure. And I'm taking his tooth.
I'm not letting, like, the kill is mine. So I'm gonna steal the kill.
What did I do to you that you hated me so much?
They do I remember correctly? You had 2 failures and 2 successes, and before he slashed his
I
throat.
believe so.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the next roll would have been the deciding one.
I was really torn about something because like you were in the Hydra's mouth getting chewed on, and then we managed to like do enough damage to those heads that they stopped chewing on you, and then they went up and started helping you, and I still have an unused first level spell slot, and I was this close to using healing word on you, but then they were rushing up to you. I was like, okay, I will hand off the potion, and I'll hold on to the resource in case somebody else goes down.
Yeah, I think you made the right call.
Yeah, it's
Which would have been the wrong call in the end.
Say what?
It would have been the wrong call in the end, right? It has been the wrong call in the end.
Yeah, it would have been the right call if I could trust Rat.
Yes, exactly.
I thought it was so funny because I mentioned like Rat approaching Karn, and Max starts smiling like he knows what's about to happen.
I loved it. I love what you're going with. Like, I could see it coming, but that's also like, like, it was telegraphed. Like, it didn't come out from nowhere, right? It felt rewarding. Like, so like, man, we planted in the seed, and now it's time to fucking like get the fruits, right? Just like,
Yeah.
so I loved it. Yeah, I saw you like, yeah. Oh, I'll help him. Don't worry, Hydra. Go fight the Hydra.
Leave me alone without supervision.
Trust the goblin, guys. Trust me.
Yeah.
Trust the
And
goblin.
it was funny because like I just taught a lesson to Agran about not trusting Goblin, right? I jump off your ear and shit like that, right?
He does that. Yeah, that's true.
And I just like, no, trust me. I'll take care of him.
You know, would have been
I did.
what would have been more poetic is if you cut off his ears before killing him or something.
No, he would have done that to Hagrid. But Hagrid got eaten, so like I lost my chance. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, like
Okay.
I had a bunch of like of stuff planned. Like if we had not the Hydra showed up, we would have camped, right? What Red would have done is he would have like in the middle of the night, like dig through chicken bones things and would have broken something and would try to incriminate Hagrid. One, because like he destroyed my school, so he's angry. And Hagrid is last my ear, so I would make them like try to make them fight, so I can get a revenge on both. But then the Hydra showed up.
I really enjoyed having Hagrid trying to rally the groups after Corn Pop fell and yelling out to get Omelette, Chicken Bones, Red Bastard back on track, charging the Hydra as Chicken Bones was fleeing, running past him. Unlucky, he got like hit 3 times and died immediately.
The Hydra was rolling hot.
Yeah.
Well, I think it has like a +9, so it's really tough for it to not roll.
I was like, oh, this is gonna be so cool. I'm gonna do the thing where like I dash under its feet and like swing at one of its foots and like bring it down. But he's rolled a nat 20 on the deck save or something like that.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, that's 20 deck save.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has 4 legs. Doesn't give a shit about your one.
Exactly.
Your weapon trying to knock off 1 leg.
By the way, there were two spells that I cast, Heat Metal and Spike Growth. They felt a little bit clunky. I think Spike Growth felt was more clunky than Heat Metal because I guess I should have.
Yes.
I guess I should have described that the thorns come up in a 20-foot radius around the.
Great transition, Yakrep, because that's the subject I wanted to bring about, right? We
absolutely
did this mini campaign because we wanted to see, can we 4D 5e? I guess that was the question we're trying to do, right? And now like that brings the topic perfectly. And somebody said, I think in a Conway said in the private chat, like, oh, unfortunate F of the system. I should have drank less. Sorry, guys. That's on me. It is what it is, right? Sorry.
Damn it,
it's what your
lay
character
down the
would
wine. Stop being in character. The game is over.
It is what you get when we play on Friday. the cider shop is open, so anyway. So yeah, I want to talk about like this thing, the system, and how it went on the way, right? And I think spells was a big one, right? Communicating that, oh, I'm casting this spell and is doing this thing, because like there's a lot of things that are quite complex to interact with, and oftentimes it require knowledge on the side of the people you casting against, right? So those like dex save or like those strength, or like those save that you have to do, or like this thing you need to do to break the effect of the spell, right? So that's the thing, right? 5e can 5e be role played in the way that we intended to, or is it like too mechanically complex?
I think this is a problem that incorporates all old school role-playing games with like, because it's very similar to like old school D&D, except 5e streamlined a little bit more, but you still have the same footprint of here is the complicated rules for this spell. We
Yeah.
have roll to attack if you hit due to the spell effect, or cast out the spell and the creature makes a saving throw and you succeed. But Omelette threw at me a spell that worked differently from those two rules. So
Yeah.
I was a bit lost of what to do.
Neither of them had a save. They just
Yeah. You're not attacking. I'm not doing a save throw. You're making a complication on the battlefield that if I interact with it, then something happens.
mhm.
Yeah.
So now we are in this area again where the game master and the player using the spell both have to know the spells in a game
Exactly.
that can have thousands of spells.
Yeah. And you know, like you said, like, and both the player using the caster, playing the caster, and the game master need to know the spell. But if it was an NPCs using a spell, then the player being targeted, and like, you know, because the game master, you can say like, well, you're the game master, you should know the game best, right? You should know all those fucking spells somewhere, right? But now, but it's every player. It's every player because like if it's a monster that use magic and cast spell against
Yes.
player, you know, and that's to me an unreasonable expectation, right? You can expect
I agree.
people, you can expect everybody at your table to be familiar with every spell, right? You know, even when I was casting those entangle, right? And now you have to make, oh, it's that many feet that are covered, and you have to make a strength resist saving throw.
Yeah.
Sorry, guy. You have to make a strength saving throw, and all those things. Like I have to communicate this information somehow,
Mhm.
and it's very hard to do in character.
Yeah, and the system is not standardized because some spells like Omelette, like the spike growth, had no saving throw. It was weird,
Mhm.
weird spell.
Exactly.
But then in some
Exactly.
spells, you make a save, right? But in some spells, if you save, you still suffer like an effect.
Mhm.
And then in some spells, if you save, you don't even suffer anything.
Exactly.
Some
Yeah.
spells are to hit, so you roll to attack. And then
Yep.
if you hit, you may need to roll a saving throw. Like it's not standardized. I feel like if every
It's one of
spell was
the
like roll a saving throw, and if you pass, nothing happens, and if you don't pass, something happens. Then it would be a lot better. But it's just way too gritty. You need to have spells be
it's weird
standardized.
because it feels, I think they did try to standardize it, and then every spell they invented, they add an exception to the rule. So
Yep.
now most of the spells are exceptions and not the rules, which makes it
Yep.
hard to standardize again, which
Because
makes it
that's kind of
difficult to
the-
run and fluently.
that's kind of the point of magic in theory, right? It's like, oh, you make exception to the rules, right? Because the rules of the games of those RPGs, right, represent kind of like the normal way the world operate, right? And magic is the point of like, oh, we're making exception to the rules, right? We're breaking the normal rules of the world. That's what
It's
magic is
magic.
for.
We're making it up. Like
Yeah.
I
everything.
think it's
is
a
still
bad meta way to see magic in RPGs.
You think it's a bad? Sorry, say it again.
Yeah, I think it's like a meta thing, like working magic, but I think it doesn't.
got it. Yeah.
It does not aid you to your purpose of making it feel magical. It makes it feel it's boring. You know?
I agree with you because now like it needs to, like, every time you cast a spell, it needs to, like, you need to break immersion to discuss like how the spell works.
Yes. And it's hard. Like even as a game master, I can keep track of 10 magic spells. I think, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
How do they heal? How do they do damage? And maybe what is like the favorite support spell, like Entangling Vines? Okay, it happened once. Now I know it. But with D&D, we are level 3. When you reach level 7 and above, the list
exactly.
becomes exponential.
Yeah.
And if you play a druid or a cleric, the list is literally all magic spells that is listed in your class that you can swap out after one long rest. Which is why a lot of game masters make it a house rule. You only have the spells that you show up for the session. I don't care if you're gonna have a long rest, you cannot switch them. And they make that
really?
a house rule.
Never heard of that.
Yes.
But like if I compare like something like a Easy D6, right? It's a system that we love a lot, that we play a lot. And magic in Easy D6 by default is like, it's more like free form, right? There's some rules to it, but then you describe the effect. And the GM adjudicate, right? So if I was to do like an entangle kind of effect, the GM could just decide on the spot that the creature can try to break free by a strength roll and shit like that, right?
Yeah.
And if that's how the rules are designed, I feel you don't feel cheated. But if I were to try to do the, sorry, I'm gonna mute somebody here. There you go. I
Yeah, that's
mute you,
a bit too much
Chamoy,
background
because there's a
noise.
bit of a background noise. But if you,
Yes.
yes, it was you. But if you're to do that in D&D, because the rules are so defined, you would feel kind of cheated, right? You know, like even if you didn't really know what entangle does, right? And I start just describing in an organic manner that I'm controlling the vines and the roots around and make them wrap around the feet of the beast, right? And thing and pin him down. You know, I could describe that in an organic manner,
Mm-hmm.
and then you could, like as a GM, you could educate what we do. But in D&D, because it's so defined, right? Like if you would make a call different than what's in the rule, I could feel cheated, right?
Yes. I do believe that
Or
is a common
or you
problem with
or
D&D.
you could accidentally make the spell more powerful if you didn't make it
Yeah.
if you say, oh, okay, now it's pinned down, and you didn't give the creature its strength saving throw, right? So I think that's a big problem with the D&D not breaking immersion.
I would say you will have the same struggle with games that have the same rule of thought. So I will put like
Yeah.
Shadowrun in that category. I would put the Dark Eye in that category. Pathfinder, obviously, which is a branch of D&D. And so did the newer role playing games solve this problem at all?
Well, that's what that was I was that's why I was taking like EZD6 as an example, because like there's
Yeah.
no spell list. It's just like you describe what you want to do, how much power you're gonna use, you roll on it, and then like and you know it's very free form, right? So you can try doing whatever, and the GM's gonna educate how strong it is and what kind of resistance there is to it and stuff like that. So because you're making stuff on the spot, you don't have like this, like, oh wait, I'm feeling cheated, right? It's part of the contract, right?
I enjoy playing a wizard in D&D because I have my repertoire of spells that I can draw from to use in the situations that show up. But when I end up playing, what usually happens is I prepare a list before I know what's going to happen. Then something is going to happen, and I realize I brought the wrong spells, and now I'm kind of useless and lame in that session until the day is over and I get to prepare the next day. Most of the time,
That's
you don't have that freedom because it's a railroad. Like events happen, bam, bam, bam. You don't get to take a day break, do a long rest,
but
stuff
that's
like
like the leftover mechanic from back of the old days of
Yeah.
resource management, which was like the main enemy. I guess it's fair to say that the main enemy used to be resource management.
Yeah,
you know.
defeating the resources, not
Yeah,
the
which
not the
which
characters.
which I think it's fun, in some games if you're going for that. Like I think it's a fair. It tones the game differently, but that's not usually what we play. We're mostly character driven, so that ends up bogging down.
Did
I'm
you
not
guys
saying
even
that
get a long rest in the whole campaign?
Nope.
once.
No,
No.
we didn't.
Wasn't we took a week, didn't we?
No,
No.
we took
It was
4
like
days.
4 days.
Oh, okay.
You
my
got
head was
cut short by the chieftain who was like, nah, 4 days is enough.
He's setting
After
up for
that, I want to see
he was
results.
setting up for failure. Yeah, he was setting up
Yeah,
for failure.
It did.
all of the designers and all of the like mechanics players crying at us right now. Like, you're not playing the system like it's supposed to be played.
You failed the
Well,
persuasion check to get the chieftain on your page. It's like, nah, I'm calling the shots, and you're like, okay, damn.
we
I
followed the
love the
rules.
game and all of the setup you had and you gave us so far for us to be able to create these interesting stories, right? And I think that it is a failure of the system itself. If someone can look at you and say, okay, Zonlar, you're a bad GM because you didn't do the correct amounts of encounters per day that the book tells you to do. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well,
That
that's interesting because, like, technically, having this sorry, I dropped some drink. Having this
No
greedy
worries.
realism rules. Yeah, it's. I think this. I think this. I'm not gonna suck on this desk mat. It's fucking gross.
red bastard, lick it up.
I think this greedy realism rule does make it that we might have the number of encounter a day, because like technically we only had like one adventuring day because we didn't have a long rest, so we had like
Yeah.
the first Hydra encounter.
Technically, yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
Well, you know, and it also left this it became a narrative thing, right? Just like the chieftain, like because I did ask the chieftain, I want to rest for a week, get those people, and then go back hunting the Hydra. And he said, no, you need to leave in 4 days. So now it become this narrative thing that the chieftain, for some reason that we didn't get to explore, is setting us up for failure. So, you know, that's interesting. You miss that if you make it too easy.
Exactly. And it can feel the world more like an arcade game. If you are grievously wounded, you sleep one night and you're fully recovered.
Yep.
And D&D doesn't like the standard rules, they don't deal with scars or losing body parts. I believe there are optional rules for that, but even the optional rules, they're like half-baked, not that useful. It might be in the Dungeon Master's Guide. I'm not sure right now.
Is it? I don't think they are.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
I
Maybe it's
had
like
some-
players.
I had some issues with the systems, including this session, communicating with Zonlar. Because, as an example, several times I had to leap off of the system and say, okay, I have my shield now, so now my AC is 19.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I kind of like played a lot with the shield. Like, I got the shield, I lost it, I got it back again, then I let go of it for the Hydra, right? So that was a bit clunky, I think.
Yeah, that was
I don't know.
part of like, how to make combat dynamic for fighters. You can like choose to use a two-handed weapon, or you can pull out your shield, but you can only like unequip and equip an item once. So you cannot draw both swords at one turn. For that, you need a feat, and also you cannot make a skill check to see how difficult the enemy is, because this is reserved for the battle master, which makes the game less fun to play, because they're locking behind a lot of cool abilities behind specific subclasses instead of allowing any martial class to tap into that potential.
Yeah, and I was playing Battlemaster, so that's why I had issues, because Battlemaster basically have spells. They're melee spells, is what they are.
Yep.
Basically.
So I also had to communicate, like, okay, they need to make a deck save, or they fall prone, and stuff
That's
like that.
interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting because I find like the magic is the biggest thing that get in the way of roleplay. And the way they design class is by giving everybody magic. Even if they say like melee spell, right?
It's a different name. It's a martial attack, martial technique.
Combat maneuver, yeah.
Combat maneuver.
That's the word.
I want to.
It's a spell. It's a melee spell.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. I'll be leaving soon, so I would like to say some final thoughts. I don't know how long you guys are gonna go on. So about
I'm
the original
exhausted.
prompt, right? About the prompt of can you forgive? My take is that yes, but there are with caveats. I think there are systems that make it smoother. You could do what everybody does with 5e, which is to homebrew it to better fit what you do. But then you get at the ship of Theseus, right? The homebrew of Theseus, right? It's not.
Is it
5e
still
anymore.
D&D? We replaced all the parts.
But yeah, I think yes, we can forgive it. It's not the worst system. definitely are systems which would make it much worse to go full in roleplay, and because we stayed in character for all of the game, with the few exceptions where oh, what does that spell do? Because we have to communicate that. That's what less than 10% of the whole session. That's my take.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to challenge what I said before I leave.
Yeah, I agree. It takes a high degree of system mastery from everyone involved. Like if I can place my hand on your shoulder and cast guidance, and I just have to describe what the spell looks like, and that's the other thing, is I have to probably communicate with you in advance, like, hey, if you see this,
Yeah.
this is what's going on, and it means that, and this is what you add to your rolls, and like
You mean
Yeah.
like
you
a
would have to
director?
basically understand everything on my character sheet and your own,
And that is the
And
problem.
the NPCs, and
And the NPCs.
like
On
obviously,
top of
like,
that, monsters don't work like player characters, which also can feel like cheating, because they say,
Yeah.
"Well, how does this monster even work?" It's like, "Oh, well, I
player
use this monster stat
action.
block, and then I combine it with another stat block to give him that ability."
Oh yeah.
So technically, somebody wrote it down. But also, if
Yeah.
you try to create your own monsters, your players can get pissy that you're not using like any of the official monster rules, even though that's literally how they are supposed to be used. Like, make a
You
monster
could
stat block.
just add spells from 4th edition in the middle of an encounter.
I have.
Oh my god.
I
This is-
did.
Yeah, why
I did
didn't you just
something similar.
why didn't you just have the Hydra cast a spell to interrupt my concentration on heat metal?
Not this campaign.
But I
Yeah,
don't.
This is something that is an issue with level-based systems, because usually you want things to be thematic, right? Like, you have a Hydra, it's like larger than a bear, it's probably unstoppable, it can uproot trees, right? That's all thematic fluff. Then you also have the mechanical side of it. And since D&D is a level-based system, that is, there is a clear hierarchy, level 1 characters, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on, then
Yeah.
the Hydra will be designed to fit somewhere in this range of like, oh, this is made for level, characters level 5 to 7 or something like that. And then because of this, the thematic power of the Hydra and the mechanical power of the Hydra, they ran into one another, and because of that, it's separate, right? So now you have some large creatures that are low level, some large creatures that are high level, and you can't really expect it. It takes you off of the experience if you feel like the thematic existence of the monster in universe is separated from the mechanical aspect of it too.
It's interesting. Also, you bring that up because, like, what is the CR of an Hydra? Do you have that?
It's a challenge. Yes, it's a challenge rating 8. So this is a deadly encounter if you're all level 8.
okay, that
It'd be like
explains it.
deadly encounter if you're all level 6 or something like that, right? It would be like an
Yeah, I
average
think that-
encounter if you're all level 8.
Oh, it might be hard. It might be like a hard
Yeah.
encounter. Yeah.
The way the system
Level
works
three.
is
But by
the
Nicholas is
CR
going.
is for a
Definitely
party of
deadly.
4.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Nicholas,
The way CR works is it's an easy encounter for a party of 4 of the same level of the CR, basically.
all right.
Nicholas?
I just want to say bye.
Oh.
Thanks for the game. Loved
Yeah.
it. Maybe we
Thanks
can
for
do
joining us.
something
It was good to play with you,
similar
man.
but different. Yeah, I'll catch you guys later on the
I
review.
really enjoy the interaction we had.
Red
Take care.
Pass, it was
Sure.
amazing.
See you, Nick.
See you guys. Love you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now that the goblin is gone, we can continue the campaign.
Backstabbing pieces.
We're kicking him up the Discord. Mods, ban him.
Oh, that's me. But I think like what you said about, like, what Nicholas was saying, I guess, is about like can we 40? Yes.
Yeah.
Kind of. Because we're good at it. No, like, obviously, like, the system doesn't get in the way of every interaction, right? Doesn't get in the way of every single moment of the game. But I think the system does make it harder, right? when I'm saying that, like you can, I believe that you can role play and you can 40 any system, right? The question I'm asking really is like, does the system get in the way? And I think the 5e system does kind of get in the way. Is it insurmountable? No, it's not, right? But there would be those moments where you have to step out of character and discuss those mechanics and stuff like that. I think the way the system is done, and it's always like, is there going to be more of those moments where you have to step off the character than some other system? Yes, it's maybe middle of the pack, right? Other system going to be worse. Some system are better. That'll be my input.
Yeah, I have a couple of thoughts on that. One of them is I really don't like having to codify my abilities to another player so that when I narrate it in the game, they know what ability I'm talking about. I want this to be one-to-one as possible. So when I say the thing I'm doing, the players know exactly what spell or rule I'm referring to because they're very similar to it, like it doesn't break. Like I'm disengaging from the Hydra. When Chicken Bones said that, I knew exactly. All right, he doesn't get the opportunity attacks on him.
And disengage is an example of like a mechanic for me that is like is well named at least, right? That you can just say I'm disengaged from the Hydra, like yes, using the mechanical term, but it still sound like natural language, right? You're
It
just like
does.
describing it. So for me that's a big thing, right? Like using like term like
And that's a very good point, because we also have an example of a badly named mechanic. When I was in the cave and I was swinging my hammer so the Hydra couldn't hit me, I, at the end of it, had to specify I take the dodge action.
yes.
Because why is it called dodge? I'm stuck in a hole, like swinging my hammer in front of me. Wouldn't it be called defense? Like I defend myself. I defend myself by waving the hammer in front of me, right? That would be a better named action.
And I remember like I don't remember the name exactly, but I remember like at some point like Nicholas did something against you that he has to use a very very mechanical name, right, for like to justify that he was a what was it? I forgot.
What was the scene?
It was in the end, like when Nicholas was like he tried to kill Chicken Bone, and he
Oh,
rolled
he
his
threw the
die.
dagger?
Like a sneak attack
threw
or
his
something
die.
like that?
No, it wasn't a sneak attack. It was something. It was something like I forgot the name. Like I wish he was still here, right? But he
Like a
used
sleight of hand?
he used a feature. I forgot the
Oh.
name. It was
Oh,
like,
the Fury of the Small, because he's a little goblin.
maybe
Yeah,
maybe
it's-
maybe that what it
It
was,
was
right? Just like-
Fury of the Small.
but like you have to specify that's what you're doing to justify that I got advantage or whatever, right? Just like or a bonus or some shit. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yes. In this case, it was a bonus damage die that
Oh,
he
yeah.
got.
You know what's funny? 5e is mostly a combat system. That's like 75% of all the books about combat, right? And the best parts of 5e when we were outside of combat, where you just roll a skill and let the narration go ahead, right?
Yep.
So where they put the most work is where it's least foreseeable.
And that's the thing. That's the what genre would call like a second generation game of standardized rule system of the skills work the same for sneaking and sleight of hand and stealth. Oh, sorry, I said that already. Perception, athletics, they are all standardized. And then we add in the more you level up, the more your class is different from the standard. Now I have to remember sub rules. How does each class work at the table? And the monsters get more complicated as well as we level up. So we move away from the standard, which at level 1, everyone can use the standard rules. I will dodge. I will try to persuade them. You know, you're interacting with the world with the standard rules. Everybody can know them. At level 12, it's a mess trying to keep track of it all.
And that's what Mike Mills, right? Which designer of 5e call like design by exception, right? That's what 5e is, right? Like you have like those standard rules, and the class give you exception to the standard rules. And I think that might be, if we talk about like a broader picture, right? And like when you're trying to design RPGs, which I might be trying to do, trying to design RPGs that are role playable. If you go the way of design by exception, you're gonna kind of put like hurdle into the role play. If you add like standard rules and your character can get better at using the standard rules, you don't necessarily have to, if I would just say like, oh, you can use a dodge action and now you have an advantage to that, right? You don't necessarily have to communicate that. You can just make your roll, say your result, and move on with your life, right? And the GM would get it, right? Just okay, you roll
Exactly.
advantage, whatever, right? Just like, but now like you always
Like-
have something else to get into.
That the
it.
perfect example here is Chicken Bones creating pythons to pin down the Hydra. Like the python is an item, but it would not fit for the Hydra. He's creating his own version because he's a smith. He can do that. He attaches a rope to make sure we can nail down the Hydra and control him eventually. And I know that, so I don't need to create a stat block of how this item works. And with some saving throw, like in the end, I made a check, and I didn't think about the saving throw. I just made the roll first to see if I even need to think of a saving throw. But the Hydra rolled like a 19 or something, so I didn't even worry about specific numbers at that point.
I kind of wish we went with like some kind of harpoon instead of the pitons.
Is that how it's pronounced? Pitons?
It
That's
is
just the way
Piton,
that I
yeah.
was. That's the way
I
was
always say
taught,
Python, but I don't.
Python
I
is
don't
like
care.
the snake or the
It's a snake, yeah.
programming language.
Python, not Python. See, I make a difference.
Python,
It
Python,
sounds French, Piton, yeah.
Yeah.
Python, Python. Python in French
No.
is like it's a button. And Python.
But
Oh, that's interesting. In Portuguese, it's botão, so it's pretty similar to.
Oh, we have both. We have bouton and Python. Both mean the same
Interesting.
thing.
I did want to talk to you guys about items because I used like 2 items for you guys. 1 healing potion and 1 magical longsword. And those
That
are
nobody
super
cared
easy. Yeah. Yes. But those are like
The
super easy
magical
to
longsword-
understand.
My
the
character
magical
has no
longsword make no impact.
interest in material goods.
Yeah.
I just
What
eat
this-
things.
Is D&D in any way improved by having a large arsenal of magical items available for the players that now you all have to keep track of what they do? And if you play 4D, it means I'm not worried. I'm just going to use this item.
Yeah.
And the game master has to remember all of them and exactly what they do at all times and
I
have a
think-
list.
I think that permanent magic items should be simple and consumables can be a little bit more fancy.
Oh, really?
The understanding is like you only have to. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think?
It's interesting you're going
I mean-
there. I think the consumable, maybe the player should know exactly what they do from the get go, and when they use it, the GM can just say, right, "Oh, this is what happened."
Okay.
So that thing can be like handled behind the screen, like with this like poison healing potion.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Who the fuck knows what's gonna happen now, right? But that's interesting. Now, like you have this like sort of Damocles around your head, right? Oh, you got this
Exactly, yeah.
poison, but it's been poisoned. Yeah, go ahead, Conway.
I feel like I'm going to say something dangerous here.
Oh, no.
Magic items in Pathfinder are kind of like that. A magic item will say, okay, it's a belt of giant strength, right? It increases your strength by like the modifier by 1. And that's it. Like everything that is supposed to have strength, you just increase it by 1, right? So you have that, a little bit of that. And in 5e, the magic items are very different. They're designed a very different way because it has bounded accuracy, right? You're entirely correct that there should be 2 levels of magic items. There should be a level where I don't even think about this. It's in the numbers here. I just look at the number and roll like it always would do, right?
Yeah, the
And then you can also have
longsword
this-
+1 is +1 modifier to what you do.
Yeah. +1 to hit, +1 to damage. It doesn't change the way you play because you just look down and you look at the number. Okay, even if I didn't have the sword, I would just roll the attack and use the numbers to decide. And then you also have the other level of item, which is the consumable magic item. I think that should be rare. I don't like RPGs where like, okay, I have 3 scrolls of Raise Dead, I have 1 scroll of shield, and I think it should always be something that the item that gives you just a mechanical bonus that just changes the numbers in your sheet and you keep playing normally. That should be the majority of the items. And the exception should be the item that you actually have to think about, the consumable.
Yeah. But that's also like a question of team, right? Like, and I agree with you what you said, right? But I'm also not a big magic guy. I think like magic should be rare and dangerous and strange and scary and stuff like that. So it stay magical. So yeah, like I agree on like, yeah, if it's just something like, oh, I just give you like, it's small, it's slightly better at slicing people. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, it's like supernaturally high quality.
Yeah, exactly.
The edge of the blade is so supernaturally sharp that it can penetrate through a dragon's tough scales, or it can pierce through. It can, squeeze through the rings of chainmail and pierce into somebody's chest. Real quick before I forget, and this is sort of backtracking a little bit.
Okay.
We were talking about mechanics that are named in a very natural way that makes them I disengage from the Hydra. I think the dash action is a little bit too naturally named, to the point of anytime I want to say that I move quickly towards a target, the word dash comes to my it comes to mind.
You don't want
but I
to
have
use
think,
an action to move there. You're just doing it quick.
I rush towards the target. I sprint.
I use my move action to move towards the target.
Yeah.
I used my move action to move towards the target. Some people play like that. That's the funny part.
Already if you say like I use my move action, right? Like you're on the wrong path.
It would be good if you were like, I run towards the target, and running is your whole movement, a lot of movement point. And if you walk, you basically take down half the speed of like, I walk towards the target. Like if I can imagine that you're only using part of your movement, and you say, yeah, I'm walking there.
You could say like I move toward the target, I run toward the target. If you say I dash toward the target, yes, then it means something else. So, but it's a good point.
Sprinting.
You bring in.
Yeah, I'm sprinting towards it.
All right. While we were discussing this, I completely forgot. There are 2 things that I really tried this game to fix. First, I think it was a success. I can't think of any occasion where I spoke in third person. I think this game was fully in first person narration.
Oh yeah.
I didn't notice any third person personally. And
so I was trying to do something like that, and I think I achieved it. But I also turnflation, because sometimes I talk too much in a turn, and then of course you guys died, so it was just me and Nick. So it was natural that it would take longer turns, right?
Yes.
I do think I took some very long turns, like 30-second long turns, towards the end of the session. What do you guys think of that?
I think at that point it was justified because it was only you and Nick, and you weren't together. So I think you did it right at then. Right.
It was better for continuity. I agree.
Yeah. And especially like since Nick at some point said like, oh, I'm just gonna wait for half an hour looking at the sun going down, right? Just like it's basically telling you, I'm not doing anything meaningful, so go ahead, right? For me, that's how I saw it. If I was a player, still in that game, and Nick said that, I said like, I get what you're telling me, so I'm gonna take that space. I'm gonna fit in that space.
There were turns that I took where technically I could have done more, but I felt like it was going to inflate my turn. So technically heat metal, the first time you cast it is action, and then thereafter it's just a bonus action. So I could have been like I could have been like doing something else extra, like throwing more fireballs or something.
And technically you should have. I mean, by the rules, by how it's all set up, that's how you're supposed to play D&D. That you can take the bonus action to do one thing and your action to do something else, layer what your character can do to create a higher potential. And that's also like, it makes you more like a hero when you're playing and not like a random guy with a sword, right?
Yeah, I wasn't sure how to do that because um, I already had an idea of what casting heat metal would look like. Um, 'Cause, you know, it has a verbal somatic material component, and it says the material components are a flame and a piece of iron, and which that goes on to a different topic, which I was going to mention. I tried to make it so that the spells that I did cast that had material components, that I actually in the game session obtained those components. Like I climbed up a tree and got some mistletoe. I got the piece
Yeah,
of
I
iron
remember.
from chicken bones. I got the thorns from the blights. But yeah, so
I forgot about that, but yeah, that's right. You did.
if I'm sitting there holding this arrowhead in the flame, and then I also want to throw a produce flame out there, like I don't know, it just seems like it would.
Yeah, that's like you
My
feel like you're
my
taking
role
one
play
turn too
blocked the
many.
mechanics, you know.
Yeah. And I'm double checking, but produce flame is still. Hold on.
Are you looking at the 2014 rules?
I'm trying to figure out, like, don't you produce a flame with an action, but then you need a bonus action to throw it? Or
It's
am I getting this wrong? I remember I did. I
I think
remembered it wrong at
we
some
had a
point.
little chat about it.
Yeah.
I'm still scrolling. 1 second.
It's definitely one action to summon the flame.
This is why I dislike this type of like level based game, because you have a very, very strict like this level of character should deal this much damage per round. So this type of creature should have this AC and should have this amount of HP. It's just so so like artificial.
Yeah.
It's exactly like I said with the Hydra, like being a context. Like we know what a Hydra is. We saw it in media. We read about it. We know what a
It's a
Hydra is.
mythological creature. We have context to the Hydra.
Yeah. So we kind of know what it is. So then when it hits the mechanical side of it and just imprints into the page, like we see like a totally different thing in the mechanics.
Like even here, I disregarded the heads. The heads are dying, but you're not cleaving off the neck. You casted heat metal through a rod. So I was like, the rules say I should cut off the head, but I'm not going to. It doesn't make any sense.
It's like
He's stuck. He's stuck
I
on
think
the
the-
dead head
okay.
in the location.
The way to deal with that for an Hydra is like when the head is dead, right? Some other head is gonna come and chop it off at the
Yes.
base of the neck. So like two more heads can grow up. But like what Nicholas was saying, like Calvin was saying, like Yekra was saying, my role play got in the way of the mechanics. That's fucking unfortunate, right?
Yeah.
That's the
And
biggest.
that's also like a critique of players that want to play the action combat D&D game, dungeon crawling, slaying monsters.
Yeah.
They don't want to role play and miss out on their bonus action because they already told like a cool scene in 30 seconds of what they're doing, but then they also want to do the bonus actions, but now they feel bad of like, oh man.
Because for me, like the role play, even if when it got away from the efficiency of the character, right, it makes it so much more interesting, right? And I'm like, that's why I was asking earlier about the CR of the Hydra, because I was thinking like, if we had played optimally, could we have beaten that shit? Right?
Oh yeah.
Maybe not. But like
Well,
we
actually,
did, like we could have done better, right? Again, maybe we were close, right? Like Nicholas ran away too, and it was a strongest character too. So
I
I
think
guess it depends on how many punches Zonalar pulled. Because if he played it, well, how many heads did it have? Like 7, 6,
6.
6.
6
Okay.
heads.
So if I remember correctly, it makes 1 attack per head, and I think it has like reactions per head too, or something like that.
Yes.
So
For opportunity attacks, if you move out, I could have all 6 heads roll opportunity to bite you a billion times.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
that happens once, kills one character, and everybody knows I have to disengage if I'm in melee combat, if I want to run away. Otherwise, I'm also dead.
you were definitely pulling some punches, but not. I don't think you were pulling punches for like to be merciful to us. I think you were pulling punches for the same reason I was pulling punches, because it made sense in the role play. You didn't like
Yes.
the monster's mouth is full with an orc, right? It's not going to attack this turn with that head. You know, you weren't 100% optimal. You know, every 6-second turn making an attack with that head. It was chewing on a corpse. Like, it's not.
I used a turn to swallow the corpse, and like I used a turn on 2 heads to bite off the other limp heads that are nailing them down to the floor to make it efficient again. They can move around and hunt you guys. So using roleplay, like what makes sense for this Hydra to do, without I move to Mr. Max, 6 attacks, you're dead. I move to Chicken Bones, 6 attacks, you're dead. I move to
and then-
Wow,
Almost, you're
that's
dead.
crazy. Because if you guys didn't say that, I would never have thought that. Because it felt natural, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
When GMs pull punches, you can usually tell. But if it's natural in the role play, then you're not even going to be able to tell.
Yeah.
And I don't think you actually pulled punches. Like like Yekrop said that, yeah, like Zonar was pulling punches. I don't think he was. That
what I mean
Hydra
to say is
felt
that
vicious.
what I mean to say is
it's
that
the thing of the role play and the mechanic catching up and going
the
against
war
one another.
game mechanical, technical, by the book of raw what that monster can do versus what makes sense in the situation and in character in world.
And I can see a wargamer is watching this session and say, this game master was not playing the Hydra to its fullest potential.
Yeah.
You know?
You weren't.
I think that, pulling punches like a
fullest
loaded
potential
term.
was the role play this Hydra presented to everybody at the table.
Exactly.
Exactly. Which is why it felt natural, right? I think pulling punches has like a very specific connotation in the RPG community.
Yes. It's like, oh, Game Master, why are you making this too easy on us? Come on. Or why are you making this too hard?
When the Game Master is pulling punches, right? Like, if you Deus Ex Machina Kaharn being alive due to the Lich, that would be like pulling punches, right? That would be like you actually like controlling the situation, not for the players not to have a negative occurrence to them.
I still disagree, because we had a specific setting of a Lich, and the Lich is dead, but the Lich has a phylactery. I know the Lich is alive.
That was understandable.
I'm not sure about the details. And Mr. Max's character, Corn Pop, and Red Bastard worship him specifically. Chicken Bones doesn't really care. Yakreb is a droid. Omelette doesn't think about the Lich too much. So this was something I wanted to pull at some point, but I did not want to intercede with the Hydra too much, because I'm not going to continue after the campaign.
Let me specify that I mean is if you bring him back to the fight through the Lich, that would have felt like pretty cheap. That's what I mean.
Like, to be honest, like when you said, like when you start like with Division, I was like, oh no, don't do that, Zunalar. And then when you said like you're gonna find my phylactery, I said, oh, okay, maybe there's something there, right? Like that.
I think
that got my buy-in.
Yes, the Lich is not doing it out of his goodwill because he's evil. The civilizations have agreed he needs to be stopped, and he wants to use his followers to their fullest potential, which usually leads them to die to serve as undead. because that's what liches do, right? Like following internal logic of what would a Lich King do.
I think the only caveat to that I would add is I think there were plenty of opportunities to sort of allude to that earlier or breadcrumb it a little bit
Yes, I
earlier,
agree.
like in a dream vision or something like, hey,
Build up to it.
you,
Yeah.
you're trying to become the new war chief. You are going to be my chosen warrior, my emissary, my avatar, or whatever. My right
Agreed.
hand.
Yeah. Yes, I would agree. It should allow Corn Pop to enter a pact or to swear his loyalty. Because
Become a
you
bit of a
said
warlock.
things were better, but we never had a scene of like you taking the knee
Yeah.
to
And
Nadir.
like I did talk about the Lich in the past and stuff like that, and the sign of the Lich like that, but like
Yeah.
I'm not also like super religious or super like worshipy, so
Yeah,
no,
it was a useful tool too, because
yeah,
current state is bad. So back in the old days it was better
yeah,
drawing on that.
yeah. Like you got me worried, but I didn't feel like violated in the end, right?
I did
So
not violate your curves. I agree.
I didn't feel like, yeah, exactly. You feel like you respected
I, I have an interesting question. This is something I've discussed with other people before. A lot of people that I've talked to that play D&D, they really enjoy the skill of the system, that is playing the game in a skillful way. And I want to
Oh, yeah.
bring up a very interesting scenario that I was thinking in my head here, which is when after Chicken Bones crawls out of the hole, and I see that I'm bleeding, like I'm leaving a trail, right? And I describe myself like finding a stream, like walking downstream so that my scent dissipates better. Would you say that there is a certain level of player skill in describing that? Even more so since me and the Hydra, we rolled and we actually got the same number, and then you as the GM had to make the call, right? What do you think there? Do you think that there is player skill to be found?
Is this
Absolutely.
like the I'm not 100% sure. I guess if we're looking at this from the perspective of role play, I think that the player skill shouldn't be a part,
Oh, really?
because
It should be the
you have
skill
to
of
you
the
have to
character you're expressing.
separate the player skill from the character skill. So like if I'm, and this is an example from the Arbiter of Worlds series, is like the oh, I know Krav Maga in real life, and the kobold has a crossbow to my back, and he's like pushing it into my back. I know that that's a rookie error. I'm gonna do this like spin around technique that I'll be able to disarm this kobold. That's something that the player knows in real life, not the character.
Yeah. I think there is in roleplay a thing as player skill. You can become a better role player, right? But it's also like but what that means, like unlocking what your character can do, right? Like finding justification, finding like fitting in those scenes, that thing that makes sense and that fit in the narrative. So I think there is a thing of player skill, but it's not in the way of like beating the system. It's about like filling
Exactly.
in the narration. Like
Oh yeah,
We changed what success looks like in this D&D session. Success is creating an immersive, emerging story as a group.
exactly. Yeah.
what Yekreb said is perfect, because like you can know Krav Maga, but the skill of playing an RPG is actually being able to describe it in an efficient way. Because we try to role play like not talking to the GM, right? So in Krav Maga, like if you're playing a 2D game, then say, okay, stand up, and then there's this Krav Maga technique, and they're talking out of character. The skill of role playing is talking in character and conveying that in character, right? Being able to describe a scene where your character twists around. Although, of course, there is also the level of knowing what your character knows and what you know, and separating that.
Yeah.
I looked through my head. Would the Hydra eat omelet? Even though you rolled a death saving throw. And I thought, this Hydra is pure evil and it wants to feast. And you're in its jaw. he's going to snap you in two parts and eat you.
Yeah.
I want to talk about that, but like I want to come back to that. That's saving true. But first, I want to say about like this character skill, right? Because like we are trying to achieve something else. We're not just trying to beat the game and to beat whatever challenge the GM put toward us. We're trying to fit in the narrative. And the more you get skillful at role playing, the more you can immerse yourself in the world, the more tools you got to use in the world, right? Because like now you can think about like because you fully
Yes.
have your fully realized vision of the world, of the scene in your mind, you have much more to interact with. And I think that's where the player skill come in.
Yeah, the two moments I would say had a small bit of player skill were funnily enough nothing to do with D&D. It was mostly camping in the woods and surviving in the woods, like knowing to follow a stream
Yeah.
when you're wounded, not to catch animals, and also lighting a big bonfire to find the goblin afterwards, right?
Yeah, red
Yeah.
bastard.
And the also like the in the previous session, right? When you decided to kill a child because you took away because you interpreted what he said, right, in a way that like would suit your ego or whatever, like your moral, right? That's player skill as well. Because like the what the player is trying to achieve, right? The way in a role playing game you're a good player is by depicting a realistic and consistent character. And the way you're a good GM is by preserving the verisimilitude of the world, right? So
Yeah.
this is where the skill come in.
If I could squeeze in edgewise, I don't think it's
course.
unreasonable for your character to know about scent, or following rivers, or using a bonfire to signal. I think those are totally within the realm of general knowledge. Or even if you wanted to like privately roll to like if you don't know, or if you want to determine whether your character has that that knowledge, you could roll a survival check to yourself and be like, oh, I guess I didn't think of it.
Yes.
That's a great point. I think it would be out of character if, like, oh, I dig through my pack and I crush a bug and make a little salve and put it on my wound. That would be out of character for
like
chicken
if you're like, I'm gonna dig down exactly 25 meters and find a copper deposit and make a supercomputer, and I don't know, just like things that are outside of.
And I love you bringing up like rolling survival for yourself, because I did that. I rolled a wisdom save to see if
I saw you.
Chicken Bones would just run away.
Yeah.
You made some willpower, some fear check.
Adjudication. What would my character do? Let's roll. I'm not sure.
I'm a big fan of that, to be honest. Like I often said it, like as a GM, like I welcome when player roll for themselves, and then you role play your role, right? Just like you say like, oh, I'm this character. How would I react in this sense, right? Would I know that? Like then you roll, and that in two ways as well, right? Like if I'm supposed to play a character that knows a lot about survival, but I'm a guy that doesn't for some reason, right? Guy that doesn't know about survival.
Did you air quote guy? I looked away.
Yeah. Yeah, you should know about survival. That's your role as a guy. But if you're a guy that doesn't know much about survival, and
I don't.
You make a role, like, and you were to play a character that does, right? And you make your role for yourself. Oh, you roll 18, right? Just say something, and then we're all gonna pretend together that what you said made sense. And we're gonna roll with it, right? Just like
the game master,
accurate. Yeah.
The game master can and should help you out with the co-creation of how your survival check makes sense of how your character gets out of trouble in this situation.
Yeah.
You think that is the role of the GM? Like, let's say that I didn't know anything about the woods, and I say I want to try to mask my scent. And like a roll survival. Like, would that be like your? Would it be your role to do that?
No, as a game master, I'm here to support the players, so I want to support them to achieve their vision of how they want to roleplay their character. And sometimes
Oh,
we
that's
reach
interesting.
our limits, but we have still 4 players at the table that can help each other
Yeah.
in that regard.
Right? Let's
So
say
you do
that
have this hierarchical view of the GM still, right?
it's I don't think it's only the GM. I think it's everybody at the table, right? Let's say you're playing a character that knows, just to move away from the survival, which we all have opinion about. Let's say you play a character that knows a lot about fashion, right?
Yeah.
And at some point, like for some reason, you want to make a roll that you're gonna make a call about somebody's fashion, and you make a roll for it, and you roll I, and then you make a statement about the fashion of like the way that somebody's dressed, right? Then because you rolled I, and then we all see that, we're all gonna pretend that what you said makes sense and is true in this world, right?
Yeah.
You're kind of like
Actually,
defining
yeah.
something that becomes canon in the world, right?
He rolled a 19, so when he says the emperor has no clothes, I'm gonna agree with him. If he rolled an 8, I'm gonna be like, what do you mean? I mean, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, the
Wow,
quality
I
of
never
clothes.
thought of that before. That was a great point, Mr. Max.
It does help to have at least some surface level knowledge of the thing that you're trying to role play. Like if you know nothing about cars, but you're role playing a mechanic and you're like, I hit the flux capacitor with a hammer, like that breaks immersion for me. I think you should at least
I think if you play a character that's going to know a lot about a subject, you should, like, as in your prep as a player, you should like learn a
Yeah.
few things, right? That you can just throw in, right? You don't need to know
That's
a
player
lot.
skill.
Yeah, it's player
And-
skill.
And knowing
Like,
to fix your mistakes before you find them in a game.
For
But
the
if you-
same
if you
reason,
say, like-
I
Go
don't
ahead, Dan.
really want to like have a player play in a cyberpunk game that never watched Ghost in the Shell. You know, like you need to know some staples of the genre you're playing in to get a feeling of what it's supposed to be like playing in that world. If you
Yeah.
have no frame of reference, there's nothing I can do to help you.
so
But like, yeah. So go ahead, Calvin.
if that's what you mean by player skill, Conway, then I agree. That does that is true for the game. When you said player skill, I had a different interpretation of what you meant, and my interpretation is when the knowledge of the player is used in the game instead of the character's knowledge. And
Yeah, I'll be perfectly honest. When I first brought it up, I think I was referring to the first instance that you spoke of, the the player knowing how to play the 5G system, right? But I think the discussion veered off from that. So I guess because a lot of people, one of the the first classic opposition to 4D is like, oh, we already do that. We're already playing character, right? But there is one that is also recurring for me when I talk to people, which is like, no, I like playing this RPG because I have skill in it. And that is the player that doesn't want to let go of like the skill that they have with the mechanics of the game. Right?
The combat
And I
system, they
would've-
have system mastery and know exactly what tool the game offers them to use in the world. And they actually really enjoy items like the bottomless bag or similar that messes with space and time, because
Enjoy
now they
playing
can
computer
get
game by hand.
inventive.
yeah, I think the classic example of that is like the early editions of D&D, where there's like these rote lists of steps that they do for every dungeon room. Like they look around the door frame checking for traps. They cast.
They always take the left
detect
turn
magic.
in a maze.
Well, that's
yeah, they
common
use
sense.
their 15-foot pole and they tap every single brick on the floor, and then I don't think that's very engaging.
I mean,
That's wargaming.
There's no character there. There's no character there.
Yeah, and the skill part would be what would make sense for my character. Like, I got the pill,
Did that just break?
and we are in a dangerous area. I will check for traps.
What the hell?
I'm doing something
fell
wrong.
You drank too much, Mr. Max.
Yeah,
I'm getting sent a message. My fucking
you know,
cross just break. The chain
Yeah.
broke.
But
that-
I love the synthesis of this conversation, because the people that enjoy the skill, there is another level of skill that you can learn. One that I would argue is much deeper, right?
Yeah.
Like learning to actually roleplay and learning to be a player in a 4D game is harder. I'm gonna tell you, it's much harder than just knowing the mechanics of a book, but it
But
is much more
people
fulfilling.
people that look for the mechanical challenge, they don't necessarily need to be challenged. They need to look at it's a fairly easy challenge. It's something they can overcome and feel smart. They don't want to be, so there's
Yeah.
this thing, right? Just like it's
It's
unfortunate.
weird. I feel like they are drawn to complicated rule systems like Shadowrun or Pathfinder because now they have more levers to pull and learn to master.
Yeah.
But it's still
Yeah.
limited by the system. There's only a limited amount of levers.
And it's not something that you need to think on your feet to master. It's something like,
Yeah.
like that's the thing with roleplay. Roleplay is really like it's not only like something like, hey, oh, I can calculate outside of the session and I know what's the best way to do the most damage per round, right? Whatever, right? It's like
Yeah.
no, it's something that you need to think on your feet and be able to do it like, it's like immersing yourself and kind of losing yourself, and it's great for that. But yeah.
Well, I think I should probably cut out. I got my daughter upstairs.
Got
Yeah,
it.
I actually worked a 12-hour shift last night.
Oh wow.
From 7 to 7, and then we started this game at 10, and it's now 1 p.m.
Yeah. No, I think we probably could wrap it up, I guess. We've been almost like 2:45 minutes, like 2 hour and 45 minutes. Almost 3 hour.
Yeah, I guess I'm curious about like any last words about this campaign in particular. Like, was it still D&D? Like the way we played
Oh,
with
that's a good
being
question.
monstrous races and like
Mhm.
going on one quest of dealing with the Hydra, and we had some side paths. So some people might watch this and say, well, this was a railroad. You gave a Hydra, of course the players are going to deal with the Hydra. It's the only cool thing that you
Well,
presented in the world.
Um,
I disagree with that.
I would be interested and willing to engage in another 5e like short campaign with a different like theme and tone and setting and stuff like that. Not like right now, but I'll take a little break because I got real life stuff. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's
funny.
I think it's worth
Finish
the
your thoughts,
squeeze.
sorry.
Mhm.
It's funny because this 5e game deviates not only in the fact that we're playing 4D, but also in the setup. Like I've not seen a game before where we play like monstrous races in a more like evil light, right? Usually we go for the opposite of it, where it's like, we're monstrous races, but we're trying to redeem them, right? We got to see like the worst of the monstrous races in this campaign.
We?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm using the royal we. I never played a game like that.
We
But
tapped
I do.
into the shadow for sure.
I do hate the the player has a tiefling character and they're just
He's all
a
cute.
pink human with a
Just
tail and horns,
misunderstood.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think in that sense, like okay, where we're still playing 5e, I think we did stick to the system pretty closely. Like we did use optional rules, which everybody does, but we did stick with the system pretty closely. So in that sense, I think we did play 5e in mechanically at least. In the spirit, yes, I think we did do this evil race kind of campaign, and we have been evil. And I think that's great. I think it was very interesting. I think it was a very interesting campaign, very character driven, very interesting character. So in that sense, I would call it a success as a campaign. I got
Yes.
I often say like when I'm why do I play role playing game is to experience being somebody that I'm not. And granted, Corn Pop might be one of the closest characters to myself that I've played.
That's why the chain fell off. They know. There's another master that calls for you.
Yeah, exactly. But
You know what happens
Funny.
when you character dies, Mr. Max? Come on,
Exactly.
finish the ritual.
Oh no, I need to go get the man. It really fucking broke off. Like, yeah.
Dude, I kind of like arrived late for the campaign, but I'll still will give my finishing thoughts.
Yes.
It was a great experience, a good learning experience for me. It was my first time like actually playing 4D. Like I ran it before, but never really played it. It was a learning experience. I had a lot of fun. So I guess we wanted D&D. We had fun, guys. But
Yes.
no, but seriously, it was definitely 4D. I really enjoyed all of the characters. It was very interesting, like interacting with them. We played through, like in a few short sessions, we played through a character arc that could have taken in like an entire like 1 year,
Okay.
2 year campaign, right? And I think that's my favorite
Yes.
part of it. We just cut through all the bull crap and we actually did what is interesting to us. And I think that's the best part of it. It was definitely 4D. Did it feel like D&D 5e? I would say so, yes. I think it did feel like D&D. The best parts of D&D were when we were just playing with the skills. Like you roll like a sleight of hand or a stealth, and we just describe what happens, right? The combat felt like D&D, and this is a bad thing. I don't think the combat should have felt like 5e combat. But yeah, it felt like D&D. It was 4D, so we 4D and D&D. There we go. You
We
the
did it,
jury is in.
guys. Resounding success.
Mission accomplished with the the aircraft carrier.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, all the people in NASA, they can all throw up the papers and high five each other. We did it. We landed on the moon.
But I think, to be honest, I think like other system would have done it better. We could have the same campaign. I think that the system didn't help the role play. It didn't hinder. We could overcome it. No, we did role play. We did 40 it in spite of the system, not thanks to the system. That would be my conclusion. But
I can agree with
it's
that.
probably better than Dagger Art, which we.
Hey, there you
supposed
go.
to
That's
try.
the continuity. Yeah. Aren't you playing Daggerheart, Mr. Max?
We're supposed
heard
to. I'm
whispers.
waiting for Phil and Crispy. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Oh yeah.
and you can compare how D&D played compared to Daggerheart.
Yeah.
If a group of players, like competent 4D players, trying to adapt the system, because like the usual problem is, oh, let me try this different system, but then you have widely varying qualities of players that you try the system with. Now you don't know what's the problem, the system or the players that you played with.
Yeah.
And also, I did want to add, Red Bastard and Chicken Bones get to level up.
Hooray. You won, guys.
Thank you very much for the game,
Level
Noir.
4.
Oh, the best part about the game, might I just say, and this is something that even if you play like 2D, you should do. These conversations that we had after the game, where we go over the mistakes and the issues and then we try to fix them, it was so refreshing because people don't do that. When they give feedback in a 2D game, it feels like half-hearted, honestly.
Yeah.
This, we
good-
you know, we
good
gave
session.
feedback. Yeah,
had
exactly
fun, guys.
like that, right? Yeah.
I had fun.
I should
had
go
fun,
home.
guys.
It's my last train is leaving, so I need to run.
But we actually we had like a whole process, right? We gave feedback, we formulated theories. Some of us even made like videos about these theories we formulated, and then we applied them, and then we repeat the process where we give feedback on these new theories that we applied and so on. That was great.
Yeah.
I think you should do that for every game, right? Having that level of discussion and commitment to improvement.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that the people here, the culture is
The cult.
the cult. I think that everyone understands and accepts that we're not going to do it 100%, but we're still aiming for we're shooting for the stars. We got a lofty goals that we're trying to get to, but nobody's going to get crucified for slipping up and accidentally breaking character or something.
Yeah.
Yes, I like
This
it.
is a safe space.
Oh yeah.
It's a safe space to reach for an ideal. It's not
Yeah.
standard because getting it 100% is tough as nails, and the system has to play along, which can get hard. And obviously, there are real life factors that will always interfere with roleplay. If it's the wife in the background talking to you, what do you want to eat, or slip up on the rolls that you forgot because you're in the heat of the moment trying to imagine what your character wants to do. But now you have to figure out what role is affecting you and what it actually does. So, but I like the 4D ideal and reaching for it and having that as your guiding light of how you want to roleplay. It answers a lot of questions for you, which frees up your brain to get immersed in the game.
The bandwidth.
Yes.
If you aim for the roof, you have a chance, but if you aim for the floor, then you always be on the floor.
Yeah, it's aspirational, right? It is what it is. All right, thank you,
Yeah, great
Sonora,
game.
for running that for us for a 7th session. It's a good length.
Had a great time.
Thank you for everybody that joined us, right? Nicholas and Calvin, Yakrep, and Conway. It felt like in those 7 sessions that we got to see, like Conway was saying, like we got to see fucking character arc, and that's so precious. We got to see like progression, stuff like that. I love it. We got to see that character like becoming alive in a sense. Now it's story that we get to keep with us.
Yes.
We also got to see the characters become not alive.
Yes. Yes. But
The full range.
was deserved. That's the other thing I want to talk about. I'm not
Okay.
gonna dwell on that because now we're on conclusion. The death save, that's something also I felt like a bit annoying because like when the two heads of the Hydra grabbed me, I wanted to do this thing like being ripped apart, but I also didn't want to not follow the system that no, I fell at 208 point, so now I have those 3 death save and stuff like that, right? I felt like the system like trying to keep you alive so much took away my epic death. But
I think that for your death, there was a distinct and real possibility of somebody saving you.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, there's nothing,
But also, like in the end, it worked. It worked all right, also because it gave also the opportunity for Nicholas, for Rat Bastard, to kill me.
Yes.
That's true.
In the end, right? So it did work in the end, but like
I see what you
like
mean.
I think the system tried to keep you alive a bit too much, and it cheapened the death sometime. Like we did manage to save it because like we're awesome. Anyway,
I rate ourselves 10 out of 10.
yeah, and somebody did have the like being ripped apart by the two head, right? Which that was the important point.
Yeah, both Omelette and Hagran.
Yeah,
which was great. Nobody remembers his name, but he was there. The greenhorn.
Greenhorn, yeah.
Hagrid, isn't that from Harry Potter?
Hagrid, yeah. Who cares about name? Right? Name to be earned. You get nickname until then.
Exactly.
Yeah, Chicken Bones' a nickname. I had a name.
Yeah, that was a nickname as well.
And you had a nickname on top of that, like with the half breed, right, for a long time until you managed to get out of it.
The nickname, yeah.
Is Chicken Bones an upgrade from half breed though?
I was hoping that we were going to talk about it because I had like I feel like different stories I could tell about like why am I called Chicken Bones.
Oh
nobody cared about your characters.
Yeah, nobody gave a shit, right?
But that's cool, right? That's organic. It should be organic. It should be forced, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But thank you very much.
I mean, if you're part of the village, maybe they already know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had one more little detail to add about running D&D. I did not have to invent a whole universe. I don't know what the civilization is called that defeated Nedip, or what the orc tribes are called. I don't even have a name for that. Like, I got 2 names for the 2 barbarian tribes, and I invented them when it was actually part of the story, when it was relevant of, oh, they defeated the tribe. What should I call them? I have
Did you
a
get
vague
like
idea.
the? Did you get like the name of the Lich? He's just like Biden backward.
Nah,
No,
I was like,
Nadib.
Nadib sounds cool.
Nadib,
That's
Nadib,
fine.
shut up.
Yeah.
It's like an anagram
Corn
of Joseph
Pop
Biden.
and Biden.
My God.
Yes. I'm sorry, guys. I'm
Nadib
an asshole.
blast. Nadib blast.
The other day I was watching Adam play, and his name was on there mirrored, and so Adam backwards is MA and a backwards DA, and the backwards D
Yeah.
looks just like a G, so it looks like MAGA.
G?
Honestly,
Adam Maga, yeah.
Maga.
It's funny because we don't have that much politics. Like,
Yeah.
we don't really put a lot of politics out there because our focus is on the role play, right?
Yeah.
But the people
But-
that seem to come to the server that want self improvement are of a very particular political position.
But that's
Most of them,
like the
yeah.
point. The point was a lot of people tell me, like, you'd have to prepare all of this stuff, and as a player, I need to know the whole world to be able to
No.
role play in it. And this campaign should show you don't need to. You can literally be stuck in a forest for 7 sessions, and it's gonna be fine.
And
Because-
when something about the world needed to became relevant, we just make it up on the spot. You know, like the
Yeah.
GM or a player or whatever, right? Doesn't matter.
I have been reliably informed by Carl Sagan that if you wish to make an apple pie from scratch,
Yep.
you must first invent the universe. So
But you know, like everything else,
I don't know
was
who that
wrong.
is, so I don't care.
Like
Carl
on
Sagan,
everything
dude.
else,
Sagan
was
school.
wrong.
Man.
He has no clout with me, you know.
Carl Sagan is clearly
Irrelevant.
not a role player.
not a role player. 1D at best. Fucking
He's-
Carl.
War gamer.
You're a filthy war gamer, Carl Sagan.
Got him.
You heard it
He's
here
dead,
first,
right?
folks. He is, yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'm sorry, Mr. Max, that you got to roleplay for 4 minutes before
I
you
loved it.
were able to drink.
No, yeah, well, exactly, yeah. Able.
Drinking ability unlocked.
Yeah. Yeah. That's not the my staying sober ability need to be unlocked at some point. But you know, it is what it is.
Make a will save.
I failed. You got an at one. I drank like fucking 2 of those. Like, it's fucking
My God. But yeah, if we actually had a day skip, I think it would have been really cool to have you wake up again. But now you don't have a heartbeat.
Yeah.
You're undead and a curse on you to find the phylactery. A guess. I was going for something like that. So
That could be interesting. An interesting like follow-up game, kind of, right? But like maybe
Yeah.
in the future.
or
But if
it
it
could
doesn't
just
happen-
be the enemy of another group
Yeah.
that is playing
Yeah,
the
that's-
world.
Anyway, I think I'm gonna wrap that stream up, unless we have like any final word. We did the final word a few times now, so it's good.
All good.
All right. Thank you guys for joining me on that. Zonalar for in the game, Nicholas, Calvin, and Conway for joining me on that. Very interesting campaign, very interesting characters, which is what I'm all about, right? And thank you for the people that watch at home and followed through this whole thing. And I hope you got something from it and from the game itself, that you got some entertainment, and from the conversation afterward, that you got some enlightenment. And for the people that are gonna watch on the replay, obviously. I don't know what the next session or campaign is gonna be. We're supposed to play some kind of like a dagger art. I don't know if it's gonna happen. It's summer too, so people are busy, people doing other stuff, right? I just got a motorcycle too, so I got this thing to explore now.
Got a new
So,
hobby.
Well, it's not a new. I've been writing for a long time, but it's new.
Rekindling an old
Yeah,
hobby.
rekindling. Yeah, exactly. I didn't get one last summer, and I missed it a lot. So now I'm getting back into that, and I'm also into kayaking a lot. So it is what it is, right? Life goes on. But I'll see you soon. I'm glad we got to get this conversation about like 5e the system and stuff like that. And I'm glad we got to try it. So I'll see you soon, guys, or sometime. If it's not soon, soon is relative, right?
I'm ready to run another game or play in one at least of of some system. I'm
And
interested of owning a spaceship or
Oh,
doing something with
really?
spaceships.
Mm.
Yeah.
Because there's a bunch of game going on, and I love that about like like we started this thing at some point, and now like there's a bunch of groups that I'm not involved in. I'm seeing like people like, and I'm late on my watching, but I've seen like people doing UNPCs, and I'm seeing people doing campaign, right? Like 40K campaign and this vampire game that was going on and stuff like that. Like I love
Right.
it. I want to see more game. So yeah, people like don't wait until like I'm involved, like that we're involved. Like get your game going. I want to, have fun and experiment with it and have those conversations.
I participated in the last two UNPCs, and those guys in Wednesdays are killing it.
Yeah,
Great games. Yeah, the community's booming. I love that.
yeah. We need to
They're
take
good
over.
enough for me to smack on them in a video.
Thank you.
Shit all over their efforts generously.
Yeah, and
Oh,
don't
but they
forget I got,
improved. Yeah.
yeah, and I got this new challenge out there, right? The in-character roleplay set. Like, so don't forget also to check that out and push that out. Like the
Yes.
UNPC was my first challenge last year. Now this year's challenge is the in-character roleplay. We need to get that out to other people, right? Like I have this session cutting the out of character talk. I'll see you soon, guys. I'm ending the stream now. I'm pressing on the button.
Cheers.
Bye, y'all.
Cheers.